Sounds like a damn good life. You find the spot and I'll find the money. You be the pretty and I'll be the funny. You plant the flowers, I'll plant the kisses. Baby, let's get right down to business. I'll hang the pictures, you hang the stars. You pick the paint, I'll pick the guitar. Sing you a song out there with the crickets and the frogs. You name the babies and I'll name the dogs. Yeah, I name the dogs. You name the babies and I'll name the dogs.
W221 DP Columbus, your home for the Sportsvisions morning show. Sportsvisions 92.1. You're listening to the Sportsvisions morning show, brought to you by Global Diagnostic Services and the Finley Firm. Here's DJ Jones and Thrift Barringer.
Good Tuesday morning and welcome everybody to another edition of the Sportsvisions morning show. I am Walter and Betty Jones's baby boy, Daryl DJ Jones. Coach Larry Bush's grandson, the award-winning producer, Thrift Barringer. Good morning. How are you, sir?
Great morning, and I'm glad to be here, DJ.
And the man about town, and we call him the Swiss Army knife, Richard Holdridge. Good morning.
Good morning, DJ. I can't believe it's April 1st. I got exactly 1 year left in the Army.
April 1st. Do you guys still do April Fools?
You're fired, Richard.
All right, so April Fools.
That's probably not Richard's favorite time of the year.
When I used to write for a high school newspaper, we used to have a satire edition for April Fools. And so we would come up with fake stories.
Fake stories. Hey, well, something that's not fake is that I'm about to address, of course, all of our wonderful folks that are following us out there on Facebook. Good morning. We appreciate you being here. I know that the kiddos are, for the most part, are on spring break. I know a lot of them in the Chattahoochee Valley area are. But anyway, maybe they're sleeping in. But you still have to cook breakfast and you have to fix your cup of joe. And, you still have to get ready to go to work. And we appreciate you being here. Maybe you're in your car on your way to work. But better than anything, the fact of the matter that you're listening this morning to get your day started. We're here. It's a great, great Tuesday. Take me back Tuesday.
There we go.
And we're happy to be here with you. And, of course, make sure that you go ahead and text a friend and tell a friend that the Sportsvisions radio show is on the air now. Tell a friend, text a friend, and make sure that they understand that the Sportsvision show is on the air right now. And for all of our lovely friends out there in WLTC HD2 Sportsvisions 92.1 land, we love you, but it ain't a damn thing you can do about it. Hello, somebody. Hey, guys, let's get this party started. Hey, look, man, first and foremost, the Clingstones are having a media day today, man. Now, of course, I guess this is an opportunity to unveil not only the team, but for us to see this fabulous ballpark at Synovus Ballpark. It's going to be on and popping. And we have to do one little house cleaning note. It was initially scheduled for 11 a.m. this morning. However, they have moved it and rescheduled it back to 1 o'clock p.m. down at Synovus Park. And not only after the media session is underway and you're able to interview the manager and the players and all that good stuff, they're going to practice. They're going to hold their first practice. So it's going to be exciting, Richard.
I cannot wait. The Columbus Cleanstones, Synovus Park. I finally get to meet Jack Johnson, the voice of the Columbus Cleanstones. Maybe Fuzzy might make an appearance, and maybe we could get some photos with Fuzzy.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But first and foremost, our lineup today will be, of course, this is a special deal here because, again, we're gonna get almost like a 3 or 4 in 1 because this guy is a former high school standout from Carver High School. He's also a former standout from the University of Georgia. He's coaching on the staff for Dale Williams with the Georgia State University. He's a defensive back coach. More importantly, he's a cornerback coach. And he also is the president and CEO of one of the most, I guess, one of the foremost best football training defensive back facilities. And I don't know. I'm throwing all kind of stuff out there. But the bottom line is he's a hell of a trainer, been recognized by Rivals and ESPN as one of the training sources. And I know a large part of this show, we have been talking in the past few weeks about trainers and who do you call? What qualifies your, a trainer to train your kid? Why should you trust this person with your child? But we're gonna talk to a guy by the name of Glen Ford Jr. There we go. That's right. For you folks out there that know this young man, you know the name. His dad he's a generational quarterback. His dad was a quarterback back in the day, back before my time at Carver High School. But Glen has done an outstanding job as a player, of course, as a coach. and as a businessman in developing I Dare You, which is an organization that has been going on for almost 20 years, that he's been training young people. And this is what you're going to love, Thrift and Richard.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is that, when you talk about who we've trained, what are some of the dividends? Well, this guy has trained dozens and dozens and literally dozens of former college players, and he has a laundry list of defensive backs in the pros right now, to include Mika Fitzpatrick. You know that name?
Yes, sir.
That's one of the top defensive backs in the league. But anyway, Glen is going to be with us, and I'm looking. I just wish we had more time, because he's going to be interviewing, or at least interviewing with us at 6:30. Then he's going into team meetings. Coach McGee and the Georgia State Panthers are holding spring practice. So again, we're glad to have him on. Jack Patterson is going to check in with us a little bit later, about 7:45, I believe, for that. And then at 8 o'clock, we got another special guest. And I guess this guy, he is rooted out of Phoenix City, Alabama. His dad just happened to have been one of the best basketball coaches in the Bi-City area back in the day. Coach James Kelvin Red, who is a leadership consultant. And I'll just leave it at that, because he'll get in onto all the technical aspects of what he does and how he does it. But, my thing is, and I was sharing with Richard a little bit earlier, Thrift, is that, we say it all the time, and people that don't understand it when we say, hey, look, Sportsvisions is like gumbo. It's a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a lot of sports. Well, the little bit of this and a little bit of that are the different experts that basically can share and enlighten and inform and educate our listeners, whether they be parents, whether they be administrators, whether they be coaches, whether they be players. I mean, there's something for everybody out there, and it's also a teaching moment, if you will. And when you'll hear about leadership all the time. You hear about leadership council, leadership this, leadership that. Well, guess what? We have a leadership expert, a leadership consultant that's going to come on and tell us, why is it important for a head coach to have these do these particular evaluations, or to consider bringing in this leadership group to work with his players, or even work with the head coach. I know Nick Saban was a big guy that went outside of the box and didn't do things. He did different things a little differently. And Coach Vince Dooley also, these guys ran their organizations somewhat similar to corporate organizations. And hey, man, look. I don't know all things in the universe, but I'll try to get people on our show to share and to help educate our Sportsvisions Nation, Thrift.
Yeah, and that's the sole purpose of this, man. And we have conversations about who you're going to have in your kid's life and who's the positive influences and stuff like that. And I think leadership is one thing that, man, DJ, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
It's hard to find what I define as a leader. Now, everybody's got their own definition, but in my opinion, I don't see as many vocal leaders as we did when I was playing. Okay, you knew who the captains were.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the captain may not be the best player. You may not even have a captain. I feel like we got to find a way to make those changes, because leadership helps you get to the next level.
And also, I think it's very, very important that we make sure we recognize and acknowledge the fact that leadership starts at the top.
Yeah.
Most of the successful, I don't care whether there's a corporation, a football team, a basketball team, a baseball team, it starts at the top, guys. And, just look around at some of your favorite teams and the favorite teams that you cheer for. And again, if they are successful, if they're a perennial champions, if they're, it's, you start in the president's office, or you start in the athletic director's office, at least, but somewhere, in that puzzle, somewhere in that genre, you're going to find that leadership. And obviously, being a military guy, how important, Richard, leadership is.
Yeah, leadership is very important in the military. You got to follow a chain of command. And I kind of see it as like our professional sports teams here in Columbus. The leadership does start at the top. I've seen great teams with great success because they've had great leadership. They've had a very good GM and a good coach, a good coaching staff, and then the players were treated fair and they were treated well. And then I've seen some teams that didn't have good leadership, that were very incompetent, that the team was suffered and the players were not happy, and it was just a complete mess. So you have to have good leadership, a good foundation. And it starts at the top, not just with our professional teams here in Columbus, but the high school teams. You have a club team, any of these teams that are playing right now. I think that, these kids, they need to have an impact, especially with very good leaders.
You think this insurance company, and again, we're broadcasting live from the beautiful PNB studios here in Midtown Columbus. And again, we're just about half a block. You can actually look out the back door and see a very, very international power. Aflac, you think that they have gotten to where they are by their leadership not being anything less than superior? Dan Amos has a hell of an organization over there. Virgil Miller, the president, down again. This is not by happenstance. You think the fact that Kirby Smart at the University of Georgia could win back-to-back championship. Now I know that the NIL has changed the game now, and again, it's leveled the playing field. But during that run, during Saban's run, during any great coach that you can imagine, your dad and all the success he's had at Rothschild with all those banners hanging, your granddad, and even at Tarleton Road when he coached us. Just think about it, guys. You can fight it all you want, but it all goes back to leadership. And the guys that run these companies, these teams, you know what? If it starts there, go. And I would bet, if I was a betting man, I'd bet you that you couldn't find you couldn't find a loser at the top of a championship organization or company.
No, I agree with you on that. And again, it starts with defining a culture, setting a foundation, standards, and then once that's established, everybody just falls in line.
Well, let's get back in our lane because, again, we'll leave that for Kelvin Red. He'll elaborate, and that's what I love about it. I don't have to say, look, if all I do, I pick up the phone and call people that I know that do what they do, and let them come on and share. And again, we're not making or telling you or suggesting anything in particular. We're just sharing information.
Yep,
that's all we do. And I say it all the time, Thrift. Even when I go out and we talk to the young people in the community, man, I am just sharing what worked for me. I'm not telling you to do anything.
Yeah, exactly. And that is the whole purpose of Sports Vision. You digest it, you disseminate it however you want, man.
Speaking of which, guys, before we get into the rest of the show, I know that on Friday of last week, and we were supposed to do it yesterday before we got off the air, but we got so busy. We were slam-packed. But you guys had speaking engagements over at Pacelli. You talked to Dave Platter's class, and I'd love to hear from each one of you, how it went. And again, Thrift, we'll start with you.
It went pretty good, DJ. Saw several athletes in there that, remember me calling their games during this season. There's always going to be some students that are engaged, but we did more of the high school. And I will tell you, when speaking, I got more questions from middle school and younger kids than I did with the high school kids.
Well, those high school kids are so cool now. They know everything.
They know everything, and then they don't want to look like a tryhard in front of their classmates.
When you said tryhard,
yeah, because they're raising their hand, asking a question, and no one else is, because they're too cool to ask questions. But thank you to Dave Platter for allowing me to come over there, and I told them, and the main message was, guys, nowadays with technology and with your phone, you can do a podcast, you can get in media, you can do you can even do a Facebook Live show just off your phone. You don't need a lot of stuff just to go and start practicing, finding your voice. And I told them that there's so many aspects of media that to get into. It doesn't have to be just sports or anything. I was just preaching to them to find something they're passionate about, and then if they want to do this, it'll be successful.
Absolutely. Richard?
Well, I actually did a class early in the morning, Dave's class, and like Thrift's class, there was a lot of high school athletes that I do recognize that were taking his broadcasting class. And, I was basically telling them my story on how I got into broadcasting and how I took a long break, but I never gave up. I told them, if you were really passionate about this, don't ever give up, because, the podcast that I started is about to approach 1,000 episodes, and I kept grinding at doing a podcast, and I was showing them how easy it is to produce a podcast. You could just record off your phone, and you could get good equipment and get a recording studio, and you could have all that. And then I showed them how, using different platforms, you can interview people. I got more comfortable interviewing people just from my podcast, and I was just asking questions about what are they passionate about. And I did have one kid that did ask a question, and it was really just a great experience. I hope they got something out of it. And I want to thank Dave Platter for allowing me to speak to his broadcasting class.
Now, should anybody else out there in the Chattahoochee Valley and surrounding areas that want to have you guys come in and speak, is this something that you guys want to do if time permits? Share your information, your email address, your phone number, so that maybe a coach or a teacher or somebody could get a hold of you. Because again, this is good stuff, guys. I mean, calling games and doing what we do in the physical is one thing, but again, going over and beyond and talking to these young people and never giving up on them, that means the world to me, and I know it means the world to you guys. But so if you want to share your information, please do so.
Yeah, so GAAL sportslive at gmail.com. That's GAAL sportslive at gmail.com. Please let us know, and I'll make sure whether it be me and Richard or having a producer come, whatever you need, we'll come and speak to your class. But I'd love to come in. Dave, I've done a couple others, of course, at the campus academy, but I'm always willing to come and talk to the young people, man.
All right, guys, you know what? Let's go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, I want to finish up a little bit more because I got some more I want to add to that because it's just that's a great thing that you guys are doing, and I hope that, again, the folks out there are listening and got that information and can get a hold of you and get out in front of the kids. All right, you're listening to WLTC HD2 Sports Vision 92.1, and you're watching Facebook Live. This is the Sports Visions Morning Show.
I know that I don't make things clear. I fall for you every time I try to resist you. We can get away.
Hey, it's Dan Patrick. Thanks for waking up with the Sports Visions Morning Show with DJ Jones and Thrift Barringer. Catch me at 9 a.m. every weekday morning, right here on Sports Visions 92.1.
Good morning. I'm Rex Castillo. Here's a look at your morning headlines. Jury selection is underway in the capital murder trial of Tahara Brunson, one of three suspects accused in the 2020 kidnapping and killing of Auburn teen Thomas Green. Green's body was found 5 days after his abduction. Brunson, 43 years old, is the first to face trial, with opening statements expected once a jury is seated. After years of turmoil, the Chattahoochee Circuit DA's office is rebuilding under Don Kelly. He's brought back Wesley Lambertus, a former prosecutor, to help stabilize the office. Lambertus, who was fired by DA Mark Jones in 2020, is focused on restoring the integrity and purpose of the office, following Jones's conviction for public corruption. He explains there are two principles he'll follow:
maintain justice and to do what is right. And during the tenure of Mark Jones, both of those principles crumbled.
From WRBL News 3, I'm Rex Castillo. Have a great rest of your day.
Good Tuesday morning. We are starting off mild with these temperatures in the 50s, and also watch out for some areas of some light fog. A mix of sun and clouds today with highs climbing in the low 80s later this evening. Tonight, mild and mostly clear with those lows near 60. The rest of the week will become hot as these temperatures soar into the upper 80s and a few low 90s as a high blocks any front from advancing until the weekend, which is our next chance of rainfall in that extended forecast.
This hour of the Sports Visions Morning Show is brought to you by Global Diagnostic Services. Are you ready to make a difference in healthcare? Global Diagnostic Services is hiring. We're looking for compassionate and skilled registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, x-ray technicians, and ultrasound technicians to join our growing team. At Global Diagnostics, we offer competitive pay where you can thrive and advance your career. If you're passionate about patient care and want to be a part of a team that's dedicated to excellence, we want to hear from you. Whether you're looking for a full-time position or a flexible part-time opportunity in the state of Georgia, visit globaldiagnostic.net to apply today.
The Finley Firm specializes in representing clients in wrongful death and personal injury cases.
Attorney advertising. Local counsel, Alexander shall not run trial attorneys. Paid active dramatization. Past results do not guarantee future results in each case.
It's not if it's going to happen. It's when it happens. What you going to do? I'm talking about an accident. When it happens, what you going to do? Do you have a plan? If you had to be out of work for the next 6 months right now, do you have a plan? What's your plan? If the doctor told you you on bed rest right now, you can't wash yourself. You can't do nothing for yourself. Do you have a plan? This is real life. I have a plan. I'm calling Top Dog. He gotta go bite him. Whoever put me in this situation, he gotta go bite him. I want top dollar for this. The pain, top dollar. The loss, top dollar. Everything I lost, I want it back plus more. Top Dog Law.
What's going on, everyone? Thrift Barringer here from Sportsvisions 92.1 FM and Georgia, Alabama Sports Live. This is the perfect time of year if you're a sports fan. NCAA March Madness, Masters, opening day of baseball, NBA playoff push, and more. Now, I have you a way to make you a little bit more green while watching all these awesome sports. It's called Prize Picks. Download the Prize Pick app right now to get action on sports in more than 30 states that include California, Texas, and yes, Georgia. The app's really easy to use. All you got to do is create a lineup, and then you pick more or less on a few player stats for your shot to win $1,000. Now I got a little secret. Come in close. If you download the app right now and use promo code Tigers, you'll get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app. Use promo code Tigers, and I'm going to give you $50 after you play your first $5 lineup. You can thank me later. I love Prize Picks. So will you. Prize Picks. Run your game.
I love playing sports, especially for my school. And that's because school sports are special. It's where it's safe to fail. It's where we're taught resilience, where our fear becomes confidence. It's where we learn to get back up after every fall. School sports are where 7.8 million students go from I can't to I can.
This message presented by the AHSAA and the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association.
Covering local and national sports. This is the Sports Visions Morning Show on Sports Visions 92.1. Drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Green Bay Packers. Here's DJ Jones and Thrift Barringer.
Welcome back to the Sports Visions Morning Show. DJ Jones, Thrift Barringer, and Richard Holdridge. Good morning, everybody. It's a great day to be alive, and of course, this Tuesday morning. Hey, guys, you know what? Before we went to the break, we were talking about, again, I'm giving you guys a shout out on your, you speaking to the students at Pacelli, and you guys were talking about the podcast and all that good stuff. But, man, can you imagine? I mean, years ago, obviously, you had to buy all this equipment, but now you have this little mechanism right here, and these kids can go live. They can do videos. They can do so much more. Thrift. Yeah. This is incredible what these kids have available to them now.
With the microphones, the camera work. I mean, it's literally you have top-notch technology at the fingertips to be able to do podcasts, to be able to do shows. Heck, you can even edit, do graphics. You can do everything off your phone. You don't have to have a $500,000 computer and all these different softwares. Would it make it better and a lot easier? Yes. Can you do it off your phone and be successful? Of course. Rick Beach, he does all these things with kudzu. He's putting up graphics every single day. He does it also for Georgia, Alabama Sports Live. He does it from his phone. Yeah. So that's what I was telling the kids. You don't make excuses saying, well, I need this, I need that. No, you don't need any of that stuff. Just go and do it. Right. And then at a young age, it's like, are you about to be the greatest podcaster that's ever lived right now? No, but you can find your voice like I did when I was 21 and no one listened to a second of those 11 o'clock at night podcasts I was doing at 20 years old. But those helped define me as a broadcaster and help me become the man I am today.
And to your point, Thrift and Richard, this is something that you can understand. Why would you invest, if you had the money to buy, why would you invest in all that equipment, all that high-tech stuff right now when you really don't know if you love this? I mean, you have to have a passion. You have to have, first of all, you have to be decent. You have to have great content in order for people to listen to you. So now with the phones, you might as well set up shop on the phone and just find out if, in fact, you cut out for this business.
Well, I invested a long time ago in podcasting equipment because I wanted it to sound better, even though I could have done it off my phone. But I was passionate about it 5 years ago when I actually got it up on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And the more that I did the show, the more experience I got with interviews and being more comfortable in front of the mic. And it's really shaping up to me to be the broadcaster that I am today because of the time and the effort that I put into my podcast that it allowed me to gain that experience.
Thrift, if you would, go ahead and give that information out one more time.
GAL Sports Live at gmail.com or 706-325-6040. GAL Sports Live at gmail.com, or you can call me at 706-325-6040. I love to come and talk. And like I said, I got a bunch of, and I know a bunch of people that understand the technical side of it. So if you did want to learn about the producing, cameras, and all that stuff, I may not be as familiar with it, but I know guys that can come with me to help give you the full landscape of what is our broadcasting team.
Guys, while we have just a couple of minutes before we go to our first guest, is that, of course, UCLA, South Carolina, and UConn, and Texas are all in the Final Four for the women's NCAA basketball tournament.
Yeah, they are, man. And so UConn should probably be the number one seed. I consider this having 4 number one seeds that UConn's in it. But these have been the most dominant teams in basketball this year with Juju going down, and I can't wait to see how it's going to play out. I told DJ, I think with Paige Buchers, this being her final year, she is putting everyone on notice. She's trying to go out on top, and I think they're going to end up cutting down the nets.
25 consecutive, maybe not consecutive, but Final Fours for Gino Amaro. Goodness gracious, that pollen got me this morning again, Thrift.
It gets me every day.
And I guess you guys didn't take your honey. You didn't take your teaspoon of honey, right?
No.
Because I damn sure didn't. Got to remember that. But listen, guys, we got this guy here, man, and I've been excited I've been wanting to get him on for a while, but really, really, really proud of this young man. His name is Glen Ford, and of course, he definitely was a star up on 3108th Street at Carver High School in Columbus, Georgia. Did his thing there, went on to the University of Georgia, did his thing there. Of course, went out into the private sector after, of course, having an opportunity to pursue professional football, but landed on his feet. He's now the cornerback coach with Georgia State University, and he's also the president, CEO, and all of that of I Dare You, one of the foremost profound training camps in America. Welcome to the Sports Visions Morning Show, Glen Ford Jr. How are you, man? I think you're muted, buddy. Get your mute. I can't hear you.
Yep.
Yeah.
You see that mute button on the screen, Coach Ford?
Yeah, we'll get
there.
it.
You go.
You there, Glenn?
Nope.
We
still can't hear him.
All right, we'll figure it out. He can't. Yeah. He said we can't hear him. But anyway, in the meantime, he put in work, man. Glenn was a hell of a quarterback at Carver High School and went on to become a great defensive back at the University of Georgia. But again, like I said, what's most profound is that the training aspect of the game. And we've been talking about this for the last month. Again, what qualifies you to train my kid? And you know what, this guy's resume and with all the guys that he has, and I can't wait to talk to him and for him to share that information. It's incredible. It's really incredible the amount of young people that have called on his services, the parents who have allowed their kids to be a part of his program, and for him to, of course, send that into the next level and the next phase of what we're talking about, because it's so important now. And again, Rich, as we have talked about for many, many weeks, what have you done? Why should I send my kid to you? And boy, he's got all the right.
Are we good now?
We are better. We are a lot better. All right. Listen,
there he is.
We good.
We're a lot better.
Yeah, technology.
Yeah,
I heard you talking about technology, DJ. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. I figured it out. I got three screens. I got four computers in front of me. I was gonna figure it out.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, buddy. You know what, the way you headed, though, you're gonna have somebody working for you running all that production, because again, Ben, I was just sharing with these guys, all the things that you've been able to do. And again, in a lot of cases, you were ahead of your time with regards to this training. And as we talked about, and it's ironic that we have you here with us today, in addition to talking about you and your success as a cornerbacks coach at Georgia State, the training that you started years ago with I Dare You, man. Let's just start there, Glenn. What gave you the foresight? What gave you the idea that you wanted to definitely work with these younger people?
Man, to be honest with you, it wasn't something that I just wanted to do. I just kind of got into it, man. My foundation in Columbus, was a different foundation where, in Columbus there's no protein, so everything in Columbus was based off, just the guys that you've seen before you, like you and Tim and Brinson and all them. So when I got to Atlanta, it wasn't that. It was just is a huge city, so everything really was about the professional team. So the foundation with the grassroots programs, it just wasn't there, like the Eastways and the Cherokees and and the club you boy, it wasn't there. So I just kind of got into it, with my own kids. And the way I Dare You kind of, speeding the process up as far as I Dare You, Christian Coleman, who's like the fastest guy in the world, track guy.
Okay.
His dad was the one. He was like, hey, man, I've seen a couple guys you've been working out with. I want my son to work out with you, which is Christian Coleman. Nobody knew who he was at the time. And he said, man, he wanted to call it DBs by Ford, which was my last name.
Right.
And I'm like, nah, man, I don't really, want to be about me. But this kid named Shaq Wiggins, who ended up, going to Georgia, a couple years back, we was at Westlake Field. He kind of came out, drew imaginary line in the sand, and he was like, man, I dare you. Man, I dare you to cross this line. And that's kind of how we got the name,
Yeah.
I dare you, So and then it kind of started from there. And started off with 2-3 kids, and then it ended up having, more than 300 kids, in the program. But our mission, man, and goal still to the day was always to try to help every kid, get a free education with their God-given ability, man. It ain't promised, less than 2% to make it to the NFL. But the education part of it, if you get these kids in these low-income areas, the opportunity, to get on these buses and see these institutions, we can try to, our goal is try to, keep the imprisonment down with, African-American kids. So that was kind of our goal, and then it just went from there to the point where we was going to buses to see, Coach Saban, I can remember, man, when we took like 2-3 buses up to Tuscaloosa, man, and Coach Saban had the whole staff, on the steps waiting for us because at that time, Julio Jones, was our sponsor. We were under him everything, from head to toe.
Right.
Julio just made sure we was good. So it just took off from there to now, man. If you look at, I sent it to you the other day, DJ, man. It's like, man, we just fortunate enough to have some of the best, defensive backs, like in the world right now.
Right.
That, that kind of came through our program. And this ain't nothing just talking about we just out there on the field taking a picture of them. But now we've been with these kids, since they was like, Minka, since he was before he won the Thorpe, before he won the Defensive Player of the Year, before Marlon Humphrey didn't even play his freshman year, at Alabama. Xavier McKinney, when he didn't even want to play football. We had, hey man, he was at Roswell High School. AJ Terrell, people that know who Michael Carter was when he was at Duke. So the list go on and on, man. A lot of the kids that kind of came through the program.
That's awesome, man. And when you're deciding that you wanted to get into the training aspect, and being able to relate to kids nowadays, me and DJ harp on this all the time, Coach Ford. These are different athletes, man, and they want you to kind of show them. They want to know your background history. They want to know all this before you go and coach them. Talk about that relationship build, because it's not just, hey, go out there and start training. These guys got to start trusting you, and they now athletes more than ever have trust issues. So how do you go about the relationship part to get these guys to buy into your coaching, man?
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I remember this was, man, and I probably learned from Minka Fitzpatrick more than any kid I ever been around. And I remember calling him one day about Xavier McKinney. Xavier was a freshman. He wasn't playing, and I said, "Hey, Minka, man, I need you to call Xavier." And Xavier, he was like, "Man, I ain't got time to call Xavier right now. He gonna have to just do what I do. You know what I mean?
Right.
He gonna have to follow my steps." So the trust factor with these kids, like, man, I'm not afraid of the path because I've been on it. You know what I mean? So the trust is, man, you coming in and you just trying to hold the footsteps of the people before you. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like when I went to Carver, the footprint was already there. You know what I mean? Coach Davis he wasn't trying to get my trust. He like, hey, man, do what I asked you to do. And you can be like Darryl Jones. You can be like Tim Wall. You can be like these guys. So it's like, man, Coach Davis had earned his stripes like I earned mine. So it's like, hey, man, look, I'm going to give you the ingredients of what it takes to get there. You just got to get here and do what these kids did before you. Where, when, and do. We always have that, And I said, man, be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, do what you're supposed to do. And then I'm not a friend to these kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've never been since I started. My job is try to help you, get to school. Either it's a lot of kids who came through the program that make it. But it's just the way we do it. You know what I mean? And the way we do it, it is what it is. It ain't gonna be easy, but life ain't easy. So, I just always just stood on that mantle. I'm not gonna be a friend. Your mom and dad paying me a certain amount of money. I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do to make sure. So I'm not a friend to these kids. I know a lot of dudes training, they want to massage them. That ain't my job. My job is to try to get you a free education. So I gotta do what I gotta do. So when I put you in front of Kirby Smart, or I put you in front of Dan Lennon, or back then when I put you in front of Nick Saban, they can say, oh, man, this kid different because he come from this program.
Coach Ford, when it comes to getting into a routine and making sure that they have just the right techniques and getting developed as a defensive back, as you being the defensive backs coach, that you specialize in DBs, and just talk about just from start to finish, just trying to get a football player that wants to be a playmaker, that wants to come in and just make an impact on the field. Where does that routine, training them up, start?
You know, I would say this, man, that like a lot of the stuff that I do, you know, came to me in my sleep. You know what I mean? I said, God has led my path, bro. No lie. So it's certain stuff that we do. You'll hear coaches say, man, I ain't never seen that before. I'll be like, I know. You know what I mean? Because it came to me in my sleep. So even to the day, it'd be 20 years next year, 2006 when we started.
Yeah.
We got a foundation of stuff that we do as far as technique. You know what I mean? You gotta, what we believe in, man, as far as your foot placement, you know, a lot of people, make sure your elbows, push back, in the 90 degrees, when you plan and drive. I think Dion and what's the name kind of been going at it lately about the T-step, you know what I mean, or whatever, man. We don't do neither one of them. We don't bicycle like Dion, and we don't T-step like Samuel. We call it a power step. So we teach them that. You know what I mean? And what I tell anybody, like, hey, when you look at my ticker, I think I could say, hey, Samuel, I got some guys that don't do what neither one of y'all do. And guess what? They all pros too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So we just teach it the way we teach it. And we just been fortunate enough that it kind of works. Even still to this day, where you got kids in college that came from our program who are NFL prospects who, probably a year or two later will be on that poster. We just real good at it. So we just stick to that plan. It's like, some people say robotic, but it's just like, if you're on an assembly line, at Coca-Cola or whatever, they got certain ingredients they go put in that Coke. And it's been like the same since they started. And that's kind of how we are.
If you're just joining us, we have with us Coach Glen Ford Jr., the pride and joy of Columbus, Georgia. And he is now the quarterback coach with Georgia State University Panthers. He's up there with Coach Dale McGee. And how's that going, Coach? I know that we're talking about, and again, the emphasis is going to be on the training and the development of young people. But you know what? It is what it is, man. You're on the staff up there, just going into your second year. You're in spring practice now. How's it going?
Man, I texted you earlier. I said, man, they done effed up. You know what I mean? They done effed up and let me in this game, right?
Yeah.
Man, all my kids, they grown, man. So all I got is ball, man. I love ball, man, ever since I think I came out of the womb. So the transition been great for me because it still give me an opportunity to work with young men, especially in this new NIL era where they can actually, maximize on money now. So I kind of transitioned to, hey, man, you can come to college now, man, and make enough money where you can make a decision if you want to play in the NFL or not, man, because that's where it's at now. Now you get in here, you make $2-3 million, within your lifetime in college. You could be like, hey man, I'm good, man. I'm gonna just start my life.
Right,
so it's a good time for me now. You know what I mean? Because I can get in here and say, hey, look, I know what athletes look like when they make money. This is what they do. You're a pro now, so let's practice like a pro, so you can make that money, man. I'm good at, man. I'm a monster maker, bro. I can help your purse go up. If you making $1,000, I'm gonna help you make $100,000. That's my job. Because if I can help you make money, I'm gonna make money.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So,
and it's amazing. It's amazing what you're saying. And again, but just keep this thing, folks, y'all that are listening out there, Sports Vision Nation, come lean in and pay attention, because what you're hearing right now, you won't hear it anywhere else but on the Sports Visions morning show, and you won't hear it from anybody else but Coach Glen Ford Jr. Now, Coach, with that said, we talked about you as a player. You were an elite player on the high school level. You were an elite player on the collegiate level. You had an opportunity to play professional ball. Now you're one of the top trainers in America, and you are quarterback coach at the Georgia State University. Hey man, listen, when that it should be a promo out there, but that anybody, any kid that's a DB, their parents should want them to run to be under your tutelage because of all the experience, all the resources that you have. Because in addition to having a laundry list of all pro football players in the National Football Leagues that you personally have trained and raised up, you are a former defensive back yourself.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I am. I am. And I love the position, man. Look, I tell everybody that the fans don't even come in the stands till the DBs walk on the field, bro. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I tell every quarterback, check down, throw it short, because you throw it long, we gonna take it back the other way. So it's a good thing. I love it, man. I came up in it. Guys, y'all don't know, but DJ wore 17 first. You know what I mean? Then the next 17 was Tim Walton. Mm-hmm. So for me, man, I always looked at my history and then I look at where I'm at now. So like DJ doing well, Tim doing well. So I'm very competitive. So I'm trying to beat both of them. You know what I mean? I'm trying to outdo
You're
both
on your
of them.
way, brother. You are on your way.
So it's a standard when you were at 17. So, that's what I try to pour into these kids. Coach Davis was a strong, inspirational person to me. He gave so much of himself to us. So I do the same thing to these kids, man. I try to give them everything I have in me. And it just been working out for me, man. I thank God for it, man. I feel like I've been on scholarship, pretty much my whole life, man. So it's been pretty good for me, man. So any kid out there that's listening, man, they can feel free, to go to our website. My son running the program now, which he went to Mississippi State, University and played ball. So, we still got it going. It's www.idareu.org. Feel free. His information is on there, man. But we still grinding at it, man. We still making monsters, man. That's what we say, man. We build monsters, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We call it Monsterville, bro. It's I dare you. But our battle cries, man, we build monsters. So that's what we do.
We got athletes that are listening and watching right now, Coach Ford, and I want you to talk about diet, how that is extremely important and what kids are eating nowadays, and the work they put in outside of maybe training with you or your son. Because, you show up to training maybe 3 or 4 times a week, but you still got other days you got to put in work that's not going to be with you. Talk about those extra steps you got to take in your diet, how important it is as an athlete.
Man, if you put bad in, bad will come out. When you're an athlete, man. So that if you're trying to get to a certain point, man, that food will come out. And if you with the right guys and you eat bad, we gonna know it because you gonna be throwing up on that field. You know what I mean? So, and we had that still to this day. When we see people throw up, we just keep moving. You know what I mean? You throw up, you keep going, but at the same time, like, man, make sure you put good food in your body. Make sure you hydrate. Which is a very big thing, man. Hydrate. You know what I mean? And I always tell a kid, man, make sure you eat well. Then, if you got to get some water, go get it. I think when I played, man, you was weak if you went and got water. But man, if you get some water,
that's how we were brought up. That's how we were
you
brought
better go
up.
get that water, man. Stay hydrated. Put the right supplements in your body because that's it's gonna kind of that's your fuel. Food, the right food and hydration is your fuel to your body. So you have to do that, and that goes without being said if you want to be an elite athlete.
Glen Ford, ladies and gentlemen, is our guest on the Sports Visions Morning Show. And Glen, I want to ask you this question because this is the question that, again, a lot of people that have kids and want to basically, want them to have better training and they want them to have, top-notch mentors in their corner. But as you've been in this game now quite a while, almost 20 years. And again, from a standpoint of what would you tell parents out there now when they want to hire that batting instructor or that hitting coach or that DB coach or that quarterback coach? What qualifies a trainer to teach your kids? I mean, what should be what the questions should you be asking these trainers if they're saying that they're qualified and they want to train your kids?
First thing I would tell parents is lead. Don't follow. Don't follow your kids. Lead. You know what I mean? Do your research. Don't just go to the first person that tell you they do something, man. Get to know that person. Interview them. And if you go pay a person a certain amount of money, do your research about that person. How long have you been doing it? Have you been successful with it? Get the testimonials. Call people. Invest, in your kid the right way and don't cut corners. You know what I mean? It's gonna cost now. You know what I mean? It might not, and sometimes you just gotta sacrifice and do what you have to do for your kids, man. But make sure you lead. I always say, man, don't be following your kids. Just because your kid want to go there, it might not be the best thing for your kid. Invest, do your research, and then once again, be committed to it. Anything in life, you got to be committed to it. That's what I mean by don't cut corners, man. If this is the goal that you want for your son, you got to stick with it. Whatever you got to do as a parent, that's legally. That's legal.
Right.
Do what you got to do to make sure you put your kid in the best position to be successful, and it should work out. So you should have success stories with anybody that you've been with, before you invest your money into it. But don't cut corners, man, and don't think, hey, man, that's too expensive. I'm going to go to this guy over here who ain't never did nothing. Because again, for the high school kid, y'all, it is so unfortunate for them because they're the ones who pretty much paying the price of all this NIL stuff. So it's kind of hurting that high school kids. So what you're gonna have to do is if you want a college coach to take you, you're gonna have to make sure you are different. I tell people now, I dare you, 20 years later, it's needed more now than it was 20 years ago,
Right.
because the high school kids are pretty much being left out of this conversation on signing scholarships, on that in that third Friday or that third week in December. So they have to make sure that they are the elite of the elite to even get mentioned, to go to, a Georgia State or a University of Georgia, or Alabama like that. You go have to make sure that you are different than anybody else.
Yeah, exactly right. And I got to ask, Coach, you're recruiting high school athletes that are wanting to come to you. What is the message? We got a bunch of them here. What is the message to high school athletes? And I'm not just talking about for D1 or for Georgia State. I'm talking about anytime you get a look, you should take advantage of that opportunity. And what are you looking for as a coach when you're out recruiting?
I was at UGA, I think last week ago, and Kirby was talking to the team, man. And I texted him and said, "Hey, bro, man, you was spot on, man. You got to love ball, bro.
Yeah,
like, that's what I'm looking for, man. You got to love this thing, man, because it ain't easy, man. If you don't love ball, man, like just go do something else, man. Because I'm gonna be able to tell, man, you can be 6'2", whatever, with good speed, but if you don't love ball, man, you gonna end up looking at you going to 4 different schools, man. You gonna be transferred from here to here to here. And ball ain't easy, man. You got to be able to take hard coaching. I want to know somebody, can you take coaching, man? Can you take hard coaching? Can you take when somebody is getting on your tail? Because I don't know any coach that's winning that ain't gonna be on your butt, about certain things, alignment, assignment, your technique, and your keys, and and your finish. And we're gonna be harping on that. So I'm looking, not only am I looking for a skillful kid, but I'm looking for a kid who can have an eye-to-eye conversation with me, who I know I can ask that hard question for. He ain't gonna fold, when it comes to it. And that's kind of what any coach looking for. So I remember when Kirby told the whole team, like, look, man, Dale McGee said all the time too, man, you got to be willing to take coaching. You got to be vulnerable, man. Open up, let us help you, but you got to be able to take hard coaching.
Coach Ford, I want to talk about the position of defensive back, because there can be a lot of adjustments. You may have a safety who might want to be a corner. You might have a corner that you might switch him over to safety. You might have a linebacker that is probably better off as a free safety because he does in coverage. But just talk about like that position, which can be rewarding because every quarterback wants to run a pick six back to the house. But it can also be humbling because there are some speedsters at receiver that you're trying to go toe-to-toe as far as a cover corner. Just talk about just balancing that position and having players that go from safety to corner and some that even play offense and play linebacker.
You just got to be open to whatever coach sees that you want, that you go benefit the team at, and then to be honest with you, man, we always train the DBs that's the same. If you look at it, Minka played every position on the field. So did Xavier McKinney. So we train them I train them like corners. If you can play corner, you can play safety. But it's the opposite. You can play safety, but not be able to play corner. But if you work at it, as far as your feet placement, plant drive, having good eyes, then so I train all of them the same. And you never know, man. You might, Michael Carter, was a corner at Duke, but hey, he played nickel, for the Jets. So you just got to be able to play, all three, because you never know what they're going to need you as far as the team. But honestly, man, it's the same position. You just got to be able to pedal, smooth pedal. You got to have good eyes. You got to be patient. And then we just teach the plant drive. If you can do those certain things, man, you go be okay. And be able to play the high ball when your heartbeat don't be beating fast. Man, when that ball in the air, man, you can't be afraid of that ball in the air. You got to be thinking like, I'm about to take that ball back I'm about to take it the other way. You know what I mean? So it's just teaching those things about, man, slowing your heartbeat down, keeping your eyes on the ball, get it high, elbows over your ears, and then still play the game that you played when you was a little bitty kid, on the side of the street. It's still the same game, 11 people on the field. You just got to prepare yourself for that, man, to be able to play all three.
Coach Ford, I want to thank you, man, for being with us here on the Sportsvisions Morning Show. But before we go, I want to make sure that I do this because, again, one of the benefits of coming on this show is that, you got some recruits out there. You got some coaches out there that you're going to run into. But more importantly, recruiting is everything. You're in the middle of spring practice, and I know you're going to be going into a coaches meeting here shortly. But I want you to speak to those coaches, those parents, those boosters, whoever it is out there that you have to reach in recruiting to let them know that Georgia State is the place to be.
First and foremost, man, it is the place to be. Dale McGee, man, came from my hometown, man, and a long time ago, he told me, man, when I get a job, man, I'm going to hire you. So he kept his word. I judge men by their word. You can tell me anything, but when you hold your word, it's good. So we're in a good place right now, man. We didn't have a spring last year, but we do have one now. So, just the things that Dale is implementing for our program, he doing the right things. And he's a good man that you can follow. I'm a leader, but I'm following him because he is the leader of this team. So we are doing things the right way. We look to turn this season around from 3-9 to 9-3. But if you're looking for a place where you actually come in and play right now, and play in a good conference, and get the opportunity to kind of show the world, especially if you've been overlooked, you can come here, man. We can help you. Now if you're trying to go to that Georgia, that Alabama, you can come here, man. We can help you do that. It might take 1 or 2 years, but we can help you transition to wherever you need to transition to. And if you stay here, man, that'll be good too, because they'll know everybody. So we can help you get to that, that NFL. NFL, they don't care where you at. If you can play, they'll find you. So come here, man. If you come with me, if you're a defensive back, of course, you won't be, I would say, man, I try to be humble about it, but ain't nobody did what I did when it comes to developing DBs, man. I'm on the top of the game right now. My cousin is up there at Ohio State right now. I just talked to him the other day, but he know who the best in the country is right now. You know what I mean? Well, we compete in a good way, man. So it's fun. You come play for me. You gonna have fun, man. I'm gonna treat you. I'm gonna treat you like you my own. Far as a big uncle, I ain't gonna treat you like you my child. That's what some coaches say. That's a lie. Because if my daughter called me, I'm gonna leave you standing where you at. But I'm gonna be an uncle to you. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be that big uncle to you, man, and try to make sure that you get your education, that degree, because they can't take that away. And I'm gonna try to help you make as much money as you can, both collegiately and in the pro if you make it.
Well, Coach, this has been absolutely fantastic. And Thrift is going to let you know again, because again, I know this is all about sharing. Social media is all about sharing. And again, for this interview and later for you to be able to share it, Thrift, how can you do that?
Yeah, Coach, if you just go to Sportsvisions on Facebook, Sportsvisions/TV/radio/magazine, you'll see pull up. We're live on there. We're live on the Sportsvisions YouTube channel. And after the show, we'll be on podcast, the Sportsvisions Morning Show, and you can listen to us commercial free, and you'll see Coach Ford's name. You just click on your name, Coach, you go straight to the interview.
Coach, now you don't need no money in your budget to send this out, man. So obviously this will go way beyond your whatever state you're in, whatever town you're in. This will beat you there.
Man, that's awesome. DJ, can you text all that to me so I can put it on our website too? I love it, so I can make sure that everybody do see it. Man, I appreciate everything too, man. I appreciate you asking me to be on the show.
Hey, man, make sure you tell Coach McGee and the rest of the coaches good morning. And hey, you have a great rest of your day, man.
Good deal. Are y'all coming up here this year?
We're going to be there. We'll be there. We might not be there at the same time, but we're going to be there.
Good deal.
All right.
Awesome.
Take care.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Coach. As Coach Glen Ford, man, he's a stud, man. He is he just exudes confidence. I mean, and that's what you do. Again, I hate to keep repeating it up on that hill, 3100 8th Street. You get it from there. That's one of Wally boys.
Yeah. And for one, awesome conversation. And for two, I would let my son, or I would train underneath this guy. This guy, obviously, he's gives it to you straight, no chaser.
Straight, no chaser. Richard, what you think?
Oh, I love it. I cannot wait to see Georgia State this year. I know they're going to be much improved. Coach Del McGee's second year got a full spring practice under their belt. I think that just seeing Coach Ford, and I have an appreciation for DBs just because when you're a football fan and you think of the position DB, it's a very rewarding position, but can also be a very humbling position. And, you always talk about like these speedy receivers in the NFL that burn DBs, like, oh, we got to get a better secondary. But no, but he is the perfect developer of just the techniques of making those secondary positions, not just safety, but corner. It's very rewarding position.
Absolutely. And again, guys, that's just the mere question of, what do you ask a person that wants to train your kid, man? That information that he got, it was just, we've talked about it, and now you've heard it from a guy that has been doing it and one of the experts, one of the GOATs in the industry. Do your research, parents. Don't shortchange yourself. You know what? If you're going to be paying money to have your kid train, and again, the bottom line is do your research. Find out where this person has played or coached, who they've trained, and get the testimonials. the testimonials are the best thing. That probably goes for further for me than anything, is that, you talk to somebody that they've trained. You talk to a parent of a kid that they've trained, and you'll get the feedback.
Exactly. You got to do your research, though. You just don't put anybody in front of your kids. And that is where a lot of the problems in lie, DJ, is that everyone wants to go out there and train. And you know what? I don't think you don't have to play at the highest level to be an elite trainer.
Right.
I feel like you can definitely become an elite trainer, even though if you didn't play at the D1 level. But it does help that what it takes to get to that point. And which is why the ones like Coach Ford are always very successful.
You know how many coaches that have led state championship teams, and of course, how many coaches on the collegiate level, high school level, professional level that have never played? So that's not a prerequisite. I mean, it just doesn't work that way. I mean, let's put it out there. I can count on my hand right now out of all the coaches that I played for. I know which ones have played and which ones didn't. And you know what? Some of the better ones actually really never played, or if they played, they weren't that good.
Yeah, exactly. And that's usually how it is, right, DJ? You don't see Michael Jordan going out and coaching.
We saw what happened when he did, though,
yeah,
right?
Jesus.
Oh, boy.
GM, owner. I mean, Michael just was like, let me get out of here.
Well, I'll tell you, man, that was a great interview, and looking forward to it. Hey, man, coming up in a little bit, we'll continue to talk about training. And again, it'll be something that will be with us for a while, because it's just what we do.
Yeah.
And we work with these guys, and we work with these parents. These parents always call and ask us our opinion. And, all we can do is refer them to the people that we know.
Exactly right.
All right. We're going to go ahead and take another break. You're watching Facebook Live, and you're listening to WLTC HD2 Sports Visions 921. We are your hometown sports guys.
Yeah. Always there when you call, but I'm always on time.
If it's local, it's on the Sports Visions Morning Show with former Georgia Bulldog DJ Jones and Thrift Barringer.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Then here's a great idea. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Yes, one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program and we'll come and remove your car for free. Fast, free towing, and 24-hour response. You can donate most cars, trucks, or SUVs in most conditions. The proceeds raised goes to help active military, veterans, and their families, and you get a tax deduction. All you need to do is make this free call. Get rid of that old car and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now and book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Donation Program now. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Operators are standing by. Here's the number.
800-890-7021. 800-890-7021. 800-890-7021. That's 800-890-7021.
This hour of the Sports Visions Morning Show is brought to you by Global Diagnostic Services. Are you ready to make a difference in healthcare? Global Diagnostic Services is hiring. We're looking for compassionate and skilled registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, x-ray technicians, and ultrasound technicians to join our growing team. At Global Diagnostics, we offer competitive pay where you can thrive and advance your career. If you're passionate about patient care and want to be a part of a team that's dedicated to excellence, we want to hear from you. Whether you're looking for a full-time position or a flexible part-time opportunity in the state of Georgia, visit globaldiagnostic.net to apply today.
The Finley Firm specializes in representing clients in wrongful death and personal injury cases.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because when people don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, they can truly thrive, like Marta.
And now we'll hear from our class valedictorian, who with our hard work never ceases to amaze us. Please welcome Marta Moreno.
And Alex.
Hey, Alex, how did the interview go?
I did it. I got the job. I can't believe it.
I knew it. Let's meet up later to celebrate.
And Diego.
Mom,
I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow. feedingamerica.org/actnow. A public service announcement brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. 783-8055. That's 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You're listening to the Sports Visions Morning Show, brought to you by Global Diagnostic Services and the Finley Firm. Now back to DJ and Thrift on Sports Visions 92.1.
Welcome back to the Sports Visions Morning Show. Good morning. Good Tuesday morning, in fact. DJ Jones Thrift Barringer, and big shout out to Richard Holdridge, who was holding it down. Richard is on and off and doing things that needs to be done. Hey, man, listen, I want to give a tremendous shout out to Coach Glen Ford Jr. Man, that was so impactful. That was really, we bundled that 20, 25 minutes or so. And I mean, it was a lot packed into that interview, man. And again, we got to, if nothing else, Richard has to get that clip. I know we're going to post it and have it. Everything's going to be where you said it's going to be, but we got to pull that interview out of there because again, that could be recruiting information or recruiting promotions for Glenn and for that matter, for us. Again, just talking about, those are the kind of things that we talk about on the Sports Talk Show. The scores and X's and O's, that's what we do as well. But again, when you have opportunities, when you have a network like we do, and we're able to go and talk and reach out to coaches and mentors and other folks like that to come on in their own roles as experts in their own right, man, it doesn't get any better than that.
It does not. And I love the way Coach Ford broke everything down and giving you a lot of insight on especially what it takes to be a high-level athlete at the D1 level, DJ.
Can you imagine? And again, I mean, we were talking to him, and it wasn't anything any different than any other interview, other than the fact that his credentials precede themselves. I mean, this guy has literally dozens and dozens of Pro Bowl athletes that are at the highest level in the NFL playing that he trained and started training in high school and middle school. And, he's been in the game over almost 20 years, it'll be, he said, next year. So this is an incredible opportunity. Now, so this guy started, he brought it out of the mud. I Dare You is the name of his training organization. He's the quarterback coach for Georgia State Panthers football team in Atlanta. So again, man, for the people, it's just a matter of people seeing him and seeing that clip, seeing that, that interview before they're saying, look, I want to sit down and I want to have a meeting with him first and foremost. And again, maybe the kids that weren't going or didn't have Georgia State on their radar.
There we go.
Will definitely see, especially defensive backs. They have a guy that knows how to get it done. Not only does he know how to get it done, he's got proof in the pudding. He's, for one of the top minds and training minds. And exactly, he's shown guys that played at the NFL level, like Xavier McKinney, Minka Fitzpatrick. I mean, he's taught the elite of the elite. I think that's a huge recruiting tool for Georgia State, DJ. And I always say this, Thrift, we say this, again, it's not just a Carver thing. This is a Columbus, Georgia thing. Yep. Glen is proud that he's from Columbus, Georgia. He's proud that he's a Carver Tiger. He's proud that he was born and raised and went to middle school here. So that's one of ours. And he's on the staff of another one of ours, Adele McGee, at Georgia State. So that kind of support, that kind of consideration, parents, if you're out there, and again, I know that you might have some trips and some planes and some plans to go other places, but make sure on your way to those other places, if you're going to be in Atlanta, take a trip over to Georgia State University.
Please. And for one, I think they're going to be one of the top universities in the next 10 to 15 years. They're growing. They're in the heart of Atlanta. They're a huge university, just trying to get athletics up to that point. And they've done that so far, DJ. And I think Dell's going to get the football team to an even bigger level.
And the fact that I thought it was just great because he was, they're in spring training right now. And again, head coaches meetings at 7, which started about 5 minutes ago. So we were able to get him in. And again, that shows you the respect that he has for this platform to be able to speak and talk to the Sportsvisions Nation just prior to them having their coaches meeting to kick off the spring practice day.
Exactly. And think about that. That kind of shows you life of a coach. They got to be up at the crack of dawn and don't go to bed till late at night. And he'll be going ripping and running, but that's what he signed up for. And he says it. He loves ball. And that is where it starts at the elementary little league level. You got to get the kids to learn to love ball because when they get older, they can't just rely on being bigger, faster, and stronger than everyone. They got to get better because everyone's at that level athletically. If they love ball, they'll put in the work, D.
I didn't get to mention it to him, but I did make mention prior to him coming on, and I'm going to say something about it now. When Rivals and ESPN rank your training practices, your training program as one of the top in America, you know what? That's high cotton. That's a high cotton, my friend.
Yeah, it is. And that's respect for some of the top recruiting sites that we have in America.
Absolutely. 706-324-1420 is the number to call. Maybe you're related to Glen. Maybe you're one of the players who've been touched by Glen. Maybe you were one of the players or maybe one of the coaches and teachers that taught Glen. Call in and let us know. Tell us, of course, what you have to say. Or, of course, if anything else is we got the NCAA Final Four set. Both men and women thrift. And I tell you what, it's going to be an exciting Final Four on both spectrums.
It is going to be a very exciting Final Four. And I am with Colin Cowherd. He said it, our brethren here on Sportsvisions 92.1.
You talked to him today?
I did. And I talked to him. And when he said this last night, I sent him a text when he said this yesterday on the show. If you're complaining that the Cinderellas are not in there, you are lying to yourself. You told me you watched VCU Butler back in 2011, George Mason getting beat by 25 against Florida in 06, Loyal at Marymount getting beat by Michigan by 15. You watched those games? Because I didn't. Because I never thought that, especially in the Final Four, when the elite or the elite are there, DJ.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to watch is UConn win by 45 against a Cinderella team that upset some teams on the way here and got lucky. So I think this Final Four should be a lot of fun. You got one of the best defensive teams in the last 15 years in Houston. You got probably Duke's most talented team since that Zion year 6 years ago, and they're the favorite. Auburn and Florida in all SEC battle. Broome versus Walter Clayton Jr. Pearl versus former assistant Todd Golden. The storylines are writing themselves, DJ. So if anybody out there that's complaining, take your complaints and you can shove it somewhere else. But don't be bringing it here to Sportsvisions Radio.
Absolutely. Hey, let's give the women a little credit here because UConn advanced to the Final Four. They, of course, knocked off USC 78-64. Paige Buchers went 31, did a 31 biscuit on them, man. I mean, Paige Buchers is spectacular.
Yeah, 31. So this is their senior year, man. She's got to go through a lot of injuries. Remember, she had 2 devastating injuries, and she is still balling. You see what she means to Gino Auriemma.
Yep.
And Gino has not won a championship since 2016. It has been 10 years. Think about that. For about a 20-year stretch, he won 12 of 20 national championships. He has not won in the last 10 years. Now, he's been to several Final Fours, not been able to get over the hump. I think this is the year UConn finally gets back on the top of the mountain.
Not just several, but 25. 25 Final Fours. Can you say 25?
And they made, I think it was 10 consecutive Final Four, which is a record. They did make it 2 years ago, but they had made the Final Four, longer than that. It's probably 15.
Yeah.
From 06, 07 to 2023. They made the Final Four every year that there was a tournament. And, COVID, they didn't have a tournament that year.
Yeah.
And then they didn't make it in 22, 23, made it last year. And then, of course, back this year. So it's just if you think Final Four women's basketball, UConn's going to be there.
Absolutely. Now, we always expect South Carolina, and we know that they were going to be there. But Texas beat TCU 58-47. Madison Booker had 18 points. And so, the SEC has two female teams in the NCAA tournament as well.
And they're going to be facing off each other as well, just like the men. South Carolina, Texas are facing off, and then you got UConn, UCLA. So at least one week we're going to have an SEC in the boys and girls national championship this year. So I'll be looking forward to seeing that. South Carolina, Texas, those two were the best two teams in the SEC all year long, both number ones. And guess what? Florida and Auburn and the boys, both the best two teams in SEC this year, both number ones, facing off against each other.
Now, when you talk star power and you say what's going to be the draw, what's going to be what is going to draw eyeballs? You know what? Let me just tell you this: when you talk about the head coach of the Lady Gamecocks, when Dawn Staley, she's obviously Gino was going to be passing the torch to her. She's already one of the top. She's been given a new contract and she's being paid a handsome salary. And again, but she's putting in the work. She has, this team has made it to the Final Four, but they are younger than they've ever been. So what did that tell you? She's got, more talent on that team. So that means that she will be, she's riding on a dynasty status with regards to these young players that they're playing. But star power with her and Paige Buchers with UConn and Gino, it doesn't get any better than that when you talk about women's college basketball.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. She's got 3 national championships, 7 Final Fours. That's Dawn Staley. Texas has Vic Schaefer, who at Mississippi State went to back-to-back national titles in 16, 17, 17, 18, multiple Final Fours. Now he's taking Texas to that level. So that's going to be a great coaching matchup. Coach Schaefer versus Coach Staley. And UCLA, they've been ranked number 1 and around number 1, number 2 all year long. And Bucher's trying to take them down. I really feel like it's going to be Staley versus Auriemma in the national championship, and I would love nothing more than that.
Man, that's box office. That's that's absolute box office. When you can't, it's no other way to say it. If it gets down to those two, these are the best to have done it in quite some time. I know no disrespect to Pat Summit, but again, these and Gino and of course Dawn, they are right now again as good as they've ever been with regards to basketball production, as far as star power, as far as ratings and rankings. Again, you want to see a Dawn Staley and a Gino Auriemma, the basketball team, go head to head.
And if you're South Carolina, I will give them credit that they're all in on the girls basketball program. You know how some of these SEC schools, when their women's sports win, they're excited, but it's nothing like football. Now, obviously, I'm not saying South Carolina doesn't care about football, but I think they also understand it's probably going to have to be one of the luckiest things you've ever seen for South Carolina to win a national championship in football. Same for men's basketball. But women's, they're on top of the game right now. Why not take advantage and support what can win instead of just wishing and praying? Because this 9-3 year this past year South Carolina had, they were excited like that was a national championship. They already got a championship winning coach. And I like how this program supports it because Don built them from the ground up, just like UConn's Gino Auriemma.
If I want to ask you this question with regards to women's basketball and, of course, the top colleges and football normally rules, but on 3 out of the 4 campuses that these four Final Four girls women's basketball teams are UCLA, South Carolina, UConn, and Texas. Texas, obviously, football rules, and again, these young ladies making it is fine. But when you're talking about UCLA, South Carolina, and UConn, those football programs are not where they want to be, but obviously having the national prominence of these women's basketball teams, do you think that they get a side-eye look?
From like the football team?
The alumni, the football team, America?
Yeah, I honestly I think they do, DJ. And I'm wondering, too, this is why, same thing with Auburn, why not support all your programs? It's really hard to get to the level Georgia's at with football and Alabama's at and Ohio State's at. So you got to support the other programs that make Auburn University love to go to all their sporting events and stuff like that. And that includes women's sports. And you're seeing the programs that want women's sports to win. Look at Texas, good at football, also invested in getting Vic Schaefer, a Hall of Fame coach. Look at South Carolina. And I would hope some of the other universities would do something similar like that, DJ, including the one 30 minutes up the road. They did get a new coach in Auburn. But I'm still interested in if they're going to invest in it like they should.
Well, all I want to know, I got this question as well, because again, you know what, Troy women's basketball program, they're making noise, man. They're advanced. They won 97. They beat North Dakota State 97-88. Brianna Perguru scored 22 points. And, for whatever it matters, I mean, Troy is another one of those local areas that we're in that space. Tony Montgomery, we talked about Troy's men's basketball program. And, of course, Tony Montgomery, the outstanding player out of Carver High School, has signed with the men's program. But the girls, or at least the women's program, is making some noise. They were doing their thing. And it's not called Elite Eight. I guess it was called the Big Eight, Eight or something.
Yeah, it's the NIT that they were playing in. So, again, this is just like for the teams that didn't make the NCAA tournament this year, but they did beat them, and now they're heading to the Final Four. Troy, obviously, and their boys team made the NCAA tournament this year by winning the Sun Belt and then losing to Kentucky in the first round. But how about Troy keeping up with the masses and being competitive in almost every sport too?
Absolutely. And while we're talking, we're going to bring it all full circle, bring it back home. CVCC and what they were able to do, their girls program or their women's program, was outstanding. And again, a hell of a run. Ended up out in Missouri, man. But Thrift, just definitely give some shout outs to those folks.
Yeah. So Joe Richardson, Zy Thompson, and the girls over at CVCC had an incredible performance. They just ran out of gas, CJ. They played the third seed with basically 7 players. They normally have 8, but one of the players got hurt. They're very thin. And he said, the one thing I learned, we have the talent to compete with anyone. We just didn't have the depth. And because they didn't have enough girls, they just wore out of gas, and teams just – they were winning against that number 3 seed in the first half. In the second half, when they're playing 9 girls, obviously your girls are going to get more tired, most of them playing the entire game, and you see what happened. But CV making it that far for the first time ever, making not just CVCC, the university, proud, but I think everyone in this area proud, DJ. And Coach Richardson's going to have an elite program every single year.
I think it's also time for us to, again, give a shout out to Matt Housel and, of course, the CSU ladies program. They made a nice run.
They did. They won an NCAA tournament game just like the boys did. Neither one of them won the conference tournament. CSU girls finished second in their regular season. The boys, obviously, we know about them. But the girls went just as far as the boys did. They won a playoff game, and then they lost to the number 1 seed in their region in the NCAA tournament in that second round. But Coach Hauser's program's going to have to go and recruit because they're losing some key players. But I know him. He'll keep reloading every year.
Keeping it in the spirit of women's basketball, we had a guest on yesterday that we're really proud of. He's the athletic director, of course, as well as the head basketball coach at East Georgia State?
Yep. Bobcats.
Yep. And that was Theo, of course, Howard. And you guys know that name. He's the husband of Anita Howard, the former CSU women's basketball coach. And, of course, she left a big footprint here in Columbus, and now she's on the staff at Mississippi State.
For one, Mississippi State, decent year this year. We're an 8 seed. They're the team that played Juju Watkins and end up her getting hurt. And Theo was talking about how very hostile environment. USC fans thought that Mississippi State was being dirty and trying to deliberately hurt Juju. I don't believe any of that stuff. No one would go to that level and try to hurt someone's best player. But Coach Howard, what a job he's done at East Georgia. They were an afterthought. They were a morbid, dead program. And he's turned them into one of the top programs, not just in the state of Georgia, but in the Southeast and in the nation. They are perennially ranked in the top 25 every year. They actually beat CVCC twice at home and at CV. Coach Howard's done an amazing job there, and he'll continue to build that program. And I think they'll end up being a national program here in that big tournament in Missouri in the near future.
And also, while we're going to break on Thursday, April 17th, 11:30 a.m., at the St. Luke Ministry Center, Sportsvisions will honor over 50 of the top female athletes in East Alabama and West Central Georgia with Sportsvisions' 10th annual Female Athletes of the Year Awards luncheon, presented by Aflac. I tell you what, man, you know what? It's nothing more that we get a big kick out of than celebrating the top female athletes in this region.
Cannot wait to do it. What you and Dale started 10 years ago was awesome for this area, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break. Let you know you're watching Facebook Live and you're listening to WLTC HD2 Sportsvisions 921. This is the Sports Visions Morning Show.
Hey, it's Dan Patrick. Thanks for making us your home for local, regional, national sports talk in the Chattahoochee Valley. This is Sports Visions 92.1.
Good morning. I'm Rex Castillo. Here's a look at your morning headlines. Jury selection is underway in the capital murder trial of Tahara Brunson, one of 3 suspects accused in the 2020 kidnapping and killing of Auburn teen Thomas Green. Green's body was found 5 days after his abduction. Brunson, 43 years old, is the first to face trial, with opening statements expected once a jury is seated. After years of turmoil, the Chattahoochee Circuit DA's office is rebuilding under Don Kelly. He's brought back Wesley Lambertus, a former prosecutor, to help stabilize the office. Lambertus, who was fired by DA Mark Jones in 2020, is focused on restoring the integrity and purpose of the office, following Jones's conviction for public corruption. He explains there are 2 principles he'll follow.
Maintain justice and to do what is right. And during the tenure of Mark Jones, both of those principles crumbled.
From WRBL News 3, I'm Rex Castillo. Have a great rest of your day.
Good Tuesday morning. We are starting off mild with these temperatures in the 50s, and also watch out for some areas of some light fog. A mix of sun and clouds today with highs climbing in the low 80s later this evening. Tonight, mild and mostly clear with those lows near 60. The rest of the week will become hot as these temperatures soar into the upper 80s and a few low 90s as a high blocks any front from advancing until the weekend, which is our next chance of rainfall in that extended forecast.
How clean is the water you're drinking and bathing in? If you call Aquasana Water today, they'll provide you with a free assessment telling you the condition of your tap water. Aquasana sells whole house water filters starting at $1,000. Isn't that worth it to have a 10-year supply of filtered, cleaner water? Aquasana water filters tackle chlorine taste and odor and can reduce contaminants like viruses, lead, forever chemicals, and microplastics, depending on the system you purchased. So make the free call, find out the condition of your water, and make your water cleaner the Aquasana way. It's a smart decision for you and your family and a must for a healthy home. Get a whole house Aquasana water system starting at $1,000 for your entire home. Call and find out the condition of your water with a free water assessment. 800-934-3021. 800-934-3021. 800-934-3021. That's 800-934-3021.
This hour of the Sports Visions Morning Show is brought to you by Global Diagnostic Services. Are you ready to make a difference in healthcare? Global Diagnostic Services is hiring. We're looking for compassionate and skilled registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, x-ray technicians, and ultrasound technicians to join our growing team. At Global Diagnostics, we offer competitive pay where you can thrive and advance your career. If you're passionate about patient care and want to be a part of a team that's dedicated to excellence, we want to hear from you. Whether you're looking for a full-time position or a flexible part-time opportunity in the state of Georgia, visit globaldiagnostic.net to apply today.
The Finley Firm specializes in representing clients in wrongful death and personal injury cases.
Lori's Furniture Express, your express way to save.
It's springtime and a perfect time for you to visit Gory's luxurious outdoor patio. This is not your average big box store outdoor furniture. This will last you season after season after season. Sofas, love seats, and outdoor recliners. Come see it for yourself, and that's only at Gory's Furniture, Alabama Highway 169 in Opelika.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Veterans, download the VA Health and Benefits mobile app. It's like a one-stop shop for veterans using VA healthcare.
Put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Your home for Falcons football. Sports Visions 92.1. Now back to the Sports Visions Morning Show. Here's Chattahoochee Valley Sports Hall of Famer DJ Jones and Thrift Barringer.
Welcome back to the Sports Visions Morning Show. DJ Jones Thrift Barringer. Big shout out to Richard Holdridge. And man, if you did not hear the first interview of today, this morning on the Sports Visions Morning Show, at 6:30, Glen Ford Jr., that's Coach Glen Ford Jr. with Georgia State University, blew the doors open with regards to not only talking about the program and again the upward trajectory, but also being one of the premier football defensive back trainers in America, right here out of Columbus, Georgia, on the staff of Dale McGee with the Georgia State Panthers in Atlanta. But he educated us on a lot of things that people take for granted. And again, from the standpoint of asking parents, hey, look, you got to, you're going to hire this hitting instructor, and again, this just, training is training, but whether it's, shooting free throws or a shot doctor or whether it's a batting a consultant or whether it's a defensive back coach, ask them, give their testimony. Where have they been? Who have you worked with? And that speaks volumes.
It does. And doing your research and understanding who you're about to give your kids to is a big deal. And I'm glad we had Coach Ford on, and you can go back and listen to it on the Sports Visions Facebook page, YouTube channel, or on podcast, Apple, Spotify, the Sports Visions Morning Show.
If it never, I guess it never, it surprises you to the fact that we always got somebody from this community that's doing something on a national level. I mean, you got obviously you hear about the athletes all the time, but I mean, even the coaches and the trainers. I mean, Glen Ford, as I mentioned before, his training service, I Dare You, has been, of course, ranked in the top throughout America by Rivals.com, as well as ESPN and some of the other outlets that rank on the training services for football and other sports. And again, that's high cotton. I said it before. I said it again, man. Those folks don't rank you there when you don't deserve to be. They're gonna tell it just like it is.
Yeah, exactly. And those are the guys you need to have in your corner, DJ. You want guys that are not going to BS you and say things you want to hear. They need to say things that you need to hear, DJ.
Need to hear. Hey, looking forward to talking to Jack Patterson at 7:45. That's in about 20 minutes or so. And then at 8 o'clock, in the 8 o'clock hour, we got a special treat for you. We got to have a little leadership education, a little leadership forum, if you will. He is Kelvin Red is a profound professional in his business of leadership, counseling, and all of the things that. And I'll let him, of course, give his title because it's so much involved, and again, his credentials. But I've been more impressed because he's the son of basketball coach, not just a basketball coach, a Hall of Fame basketball coach, and Coach James Red. And Kelvin had the opportunity to grow up and watch his dad. And his dad was this interview is not going to be about Coach Red because we've talked about Coach many times, and we will continue to. But this interview is about Kelvin Red and his profession as a leadership consultant. And Thrift, I know this is one of those kind of deals where I don't care if you're in corporate America or if you're the athletic director of a middle school or high school. This is a conversation that you might need to hear. You might want to be a part of it. He might say some things that help you. I mean, when if you're listening, because again, he is an expert in that field, and leadership is so very important today.
It is very important, and DJ, I want to hear it. I think if I want to hear it, I think everyone should be wanting to hear it.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to hear Kelvin come on at 8 o'clock. It's going to be a lot of fun here on the Sports Visions Morning Show.
Absolutely. And again, I want to talk about the Braves, but I don't want to talk about the Braves because I love them no matter what. But man, off to an 0-5 start. Again, they got swept out in, of course, San Diego to open up the season, and now they're in LA. They lost the first game there. That's 5, and then they play tonight at 10 o'clock, and again, that got a series. They got to finish up that series with the reigning world champions. And not only are they losing, but we found out that, somebody was doing something that they didn't have any business doing. Thrift, and again, one of their players, an outfielder that they got from the Padres, has been messing around with PEDs, and that's not good. Been suspended for 80 games. And, man, I tell you, there's nowhere to go but up with the Braves, in my opinion.
Jurickson Profar, 80 game suspension. And then on top of it, the Braves are 0-5. And last night they finally scored a run, and that was the first run they scored in 29 innings. They went 29 innings without scoring a run.
29 innings.
Oh, and
each game
5.
is 9 innings, right?
Yeah. So they went about 3 games without even getting a run on the board. It has been about as poor of a start that you could have. But here's the thing. Baseball is a long season, and by the time June and July come, Braves will be back to where they are. I know Braves fans want to get off to a rocking start and everything else, but you don't win World Series in April, man. No one cares about your record right now. Obviously, you don't want to get too far behind the 8 ball, then, because that's what the problem was a few years ago. Braves were 10 games back of the Mets. They were under 500. They had to go on that incredible tear, and then they ran out of gas when they got to the playoffs. You want to be about the top of the division right there all season long where you're not killing yourself. So we don't get too far behind, but I'm not ready to hit the panic button just yet, BJ.
You could look at it this way. The Braves don't want to get their first victory until maybe they get back to Truist Park. So
0-7?
0-7 and come back home and win. And then, again, because they're going to have a sellout crowd. You know that, right?
Yeah, people are still going to go up there and see them play against the Marlins, but it doesn't help either. You play against the Dodgers, who are undefeated too, and they're definitely looking like a team that's going to go 7-0 and sweep the Atlanta Braves this year. Just not a great performance right now, but I think that the Braves are trying to find themselves, and obviously they know how long it was. These are veteran guys that know this is a grind, how long the season is, and they're probably not super motivated right now to go all out and have a freaking team session where everybody's cussing each other out. I mean, you're doing that 5 games in the season. You really got problems. So I think they should, including Braves fans, take a deep breath. It's okay. And DJ, I've watched about 3 innings of the Braves so far this season. So I'm not panicking at all. I didn't even watch them.
No, you're right. I haven't seen any of it at all either. I heard a little bit on the radio, but hadn't really sat down. So I'm not worried because, again, you know what? This is early in the season. And, again, we got a lot more things that are pressing, like these Final Four between the women and the men and the NCAA basketball. And the fact of the matter is that, I just feel that SNCC is going to have this team where they need to be in a couple of months. Obviously, there's some injuries that people are coming back from, and we're not 100%. I know that, but let me just do this because, again, we could talk about that and beat that horse in the ground. But the good news as far as the Braves and their organization is concerned, well, they're AA affiliate right here in Columbus, Georgia, because they're named the Columbus Clingstones. They're going to have Media Day today. Media Day, does that mean it's open to the public? Well, I don't think so. And I don't know if they wanted to have a crowd down to watch practice or not. I mean, that's that's a question that we need to find out probably before we go off the air through, if they're there, again, because they are going to be, the team is going to take the field after the press conference. And I'm sure that they won't turn away fans that want to, sit in the stands or, hang out and watch and see what this introduction of these new players are.
Yeah, exactly. So I we'll see what happens, DJ. It's going to be a lot of fun.
A lot of fun indeed. 706-324-1420 is the number to call. 706-324-1420. Did you got something?
I did want to add in there about the Lions. It would just happen this past weekend. They lost for the first time in 3 years, DJ. And the last time they lost was to the same team they played, Carolina Cobras, on the road. They were up 20-13 at the half. Did not score a point in the second half. That's consecutive games in the second half that they have not looked good. 6 points last week. The week before. This past week, 0, and got beat by 20. And I was, this is just my opinion of the Lions. Everybody was crying about how they played in a trash league. Now they're actually playing in a good league. They're going to be subjected to maybe getting beat. And I think the Lions, they needed to see this too. And a little bit of a wake-up call, like, hey, you can't just go through the motions in this league like you did in the past 2 years. So I think they're going to come out. Coach Daniels, they're going to be fine. Marcus Brooks is going to be fine. But right now, they needed this. I think now everyone that's fans needed this. So now the next time they play April 18th, that's a game everybody should come to because the Lions could lose. It's going to be against a good team.
I don't know about you, but I don't get excited about a team bullying anybody and beating the brakes off people. I mean, each and every week. And I'm just not a glutton for punishment. If you know a team's going to beat, 5, 7, 8, 10 touchdowns up, at the end of the game, no, that's not football to me.
No, it's not. And it's not, you're not learning anything. You're not getting yourself better. You start becoming complacent. And that is kind of what happened. But I fully expect the leadership of the Lions to get them back on track because now they can get beat. And the coaches can use this like, hey, if we don't start executing better in practice that leads to on the field, we can get beat in this league because Carolina, who they beat 25-0 the week before, they lost to 40-20. They're not even the best team in the league. Omaha Beef's undefeated. And then Beaumont, who they play April the 18th, they're undefeated. So there's other teams they ain't even faced off against yet. They're maybe even better than Carolina was. So it should be an interesting season for the Lions.
So as we see it, of course, the NBA is they're winding down their regular season. And, of course, the college basketball, they're into, of course, the Final Four, both on the men and women. And, of course, with regards to spring football practice, this is the time of year where Auburn and Georgia and Alabama and these all these fans, so you kind of get lost. The spring training has gotten lost, I guess, and even with the Braves, even though they're not playing as well as we want them to, the fact that they opened up on the West Coast, all of our attention is really not been focused on football, I would think, unless, what do you think? I mean, just from where I sit, I just hadn't heard a whole lot about spring, and it hadn't been a big deal, and I'm sure it is to some people. But again, it could get lost.
I think it's gotten lost a little bit too because of the SEC having so many dominant teams. Because right now, 10 years ago, SEC had 3 teams in the tournament. Only one would be in the week left on the final weekend, or maybe not even make the Final Four. So everybody's moving on to what's next, baseball or spring football. You can't do that this year because you've got so many teams and how great the SEC was in the NCAA tournament. And I also think, too, I think because of this conversation teams are having about not wanting to play a game, what's the point of spring practice, changing the rules. And I don't know if you saw, DJ, but Dion Primetime and Fran Brown of the Syracuse Orangemen both tried to schedule a scrimmage game, and the NCAA said no.
Right.
Why?
Uh-huh.
Help me understand that. I don't even want to get fired up about it right now.
Let me just share something with you. There's a certain word that we use called protocol. First of all, you're not going to let the tail wag the dog. And again, the NCAA, and for that matter, the presidents of the institutions, you're not going to have head football coaches making rules and doing things that, again, are not done from leadership. That's a word. And we know what you can, whatever side of the fence you're on about it. The fact of the matter is, I just knew right off the bat, Fran and Dion, you just not going to come out and say y'all going to do a game. This has to go before a board. This has to go before the leadership council. You guys are just the head coaches. Yeah, we're paying you a ton of money, but you're not going to write rules and just make up the rules as we go.
Yeah, and I get that part, but then this is also from the NCAA, who I think cannot find they're not the smartest bunch of group, and they're not the sharpest tools in the shed either. If you look at the NCAA and their decision-making and getting people in trouble and the way they turn around other things, and now this is what they're going to put their foot down on, we're not letting Fran Brown and Deion Sanders. Who do they think they are coming and running this?
Yeah.
But I will tell you, Deion's the type of guy where if there ever is going to be a time when the big conferences move away from the NCAA, I feel like he'll be one of the leaders of that. Him and Nick Saban, him being in his corner, having that type of voice can make changes. So if I'm the NCAA, I'd be careful who I piss off.
Big shout out anyway to Dion. I know we hadn't talked a whole lot about it, but do you realize he had just got a new contract? They basically
it's a lot of money,
and then when they offered it, a lot of the leadership, the athletic director and the president of the university, they said they don't know where in the hell they're going to get the money, but they were committed to getting it. But guess what? A check writer came in, and of course, an alumni or booster or whatever you called it. Somebody with some money came in and guaranteed they locked Dion down
and said, "You ain't leaving."
No, yeah, exactly. So shout out to Deion Sanders and all of the great things that he has done, for college football. More importantly, for the Colorado Buffaloes.
I agree with you on that, DJ, and I think also too. You're talking about basketball. I just want to make this point with Alabama, Auburn both being successful in basketball. I think that puts more pressure, even more, on the football programs because it's like you're Bruce Pearl. I mean, Auburn's an everything school, but don't get it twisted. Auburn fans love their football program, and the last thing they want to see is another 5-7 year when you got your basketball program that was an afterthought 15 years ago. I'm talking about the worst program of all worst. DJ, I almost think the SEC, if they could, when Tony Barbie was there, they would have taken Auburn out of the SEC and put in like a Georgia State or a Troy because they would have been more competitive. That's how low Auburn was with the atrocious Tony Barbie, and now they're playing for a national championship. So I don't think they're going to have a lot of leeway with Hugh Freeze with another losing season. So as much as he's coming out on social media saying, I'm proud of Bruce Pearl. I was there on Friday night. He posted that. I'm like, I'm glad you're proud of it, Hugh. That's even more pressure on you. You better win next year.
But you know what? We were just talking about, again, a few minutes ago, all those things that are covering up spring football. I guarantee you, Hugh Freeze, as well as DeBoer up in Alabama, they're happy as hell that nobody's talking about it. It's kind of like, let us do our little thing here and, shine the spotlight on basketball.
Good
Leave
point.
us alone.
Yeah, that's a good point because if you're DeBoer, you got questions. Who's going to be the starting quarterback every single day? Who's going to be the starting quarterback? Same with Hugh Freeze. How are you going to be better than next year? I mean, for next year. And right now, you don't have any media members at your press conferences because everybody's watching Auburn basketball or Alabama basketball. So, yeah, you're right. Good. He probably loves every second of it. Just know, Hugh, when basketball season's done, all eyes are back on you.
All right, Thrift, let's go ahead and take a break. Hopefully, in just a little bit, we'll have, and not hopefully, we definitely going to have this guy up. He is our friend. He is the sports director of WRBL, of course, coming up next after the break. Jack Patterson, you're watching Facebook Live, and you're listening to WLTC HD2 Sports Visions 921. We are your hometown sports guys.
This is the Sports Visions Morning Show.
Let's do this.
Sports Visions 92.1.
This hour of the Sports Visions Morning Show is brought to you by Global Diagnostic Services. Are you ready to make a difference in healthcare? Global Diagnostic Services is hiring. We're looking for compassionate and skilled registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, x-ray technicians, and ultrasound technicians to join our growing team. At Global Diagnostics, we offer competitive pay where you can thrive and advance your career. If you're passionate about patient care and want to be a part of a team that's dedicated to excellence, we want to hear from you. Whether you're looking for a full-time position or a flexible part-time opportunity in the state of Georgia, visit globaldiagnostic.net to apply today.
The Finley Firm specializes in representing clients in wrongful death and personal injury cases.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Listen up, fellow Gen Xers. Elizabeth Banks here. The recommended age for pneumococcal pneumonia vaccination has been lowered to 50 and older, even if you're healthy. It's up to us to lead the way. We've done this before. Music videos, fanny packs, even the World Wide Web. Let's do it again and get vaccinated because we're at over 6 times greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Gen X, this is our shot. Visit vaxassist.com and schedule a vaccine today. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hey, it's Dan Patrick. Thanks for waking up with the Sports Visions Morning Show. Let's get back to DJ and Thrift on Sports Visions 92.1.
Today's best music, Q107.3.
Your home for Falcons football. Sports Visions 92.1. Now back to the Sports Visions Morning Show. Here's Chattahoochee Valley Sports Hall of Famer DJ Jones and Thrift Barringer.
Welcome back to the Sports Visions Morning Show. DJ Jones, Thrift Barringer. Humongous shout out to Glen Ford, the former Carver Tiger, former Georgia Bulldog, and he is now a member of the Georgia State Panthers football staff. And again, he's under the tutelage of Dale McGee, and again, just a powerful message and some powerful information regarding training and all the things that he's done, of course, to make players better.
Yeah, and you can go back and listen on podcasts, Sports Visions, Facebook, and YouTube, and I'll tell you, those that are listening out there right now, and if whether you're a kid or an adult that has a kid, you better learn how to take tough coaching. And DJ, we talk about this all the time. It translates to when you get into the professional world, You got to take tough coaching. You got to take constructive criticism. You got to take sometimes somebody getting in your ass sometimes, DJ. I'm sorry. Excuse my French, but if you can't handle that at a young age, how are you going to handle it when you get older and you got a little bit of an ego to yourself? Take tough coaching. It makes you better as a human being.
Let them know how you really feel.
I'm being honest,
Yeah.
man, because there's a lot of kids nowadays that are not like that.
You're right. You're right. Speaking of which, not that it relates to anything in the same, because again, this guy, he leads from the front. And I tell you, he's our friend. He's the sports director of WRBL. His name is Jack Patterson, and he is a legend. He's not only wearing a legend shirt, he is a legend. Welcome. Good morning. How are you, sir?
What's up, fellas? And I can 100% vibe with the point you guys just made, that you gotta be somebody that's, be coachable, and you gotta have coaches who, ain't afraid to get into you. I had a coach like that. She ended up being one of the best coaches I ever had. My tennis coach at Shaw, Lori McElroy. She wasn't afraid to get into my backside. All right. She would trash talk with the rest of us, with the best of us. Okay. Yeah. And, she was not afraid to, say, hey, if you're not going to do this, then I got something for you. All right. And, I'll give you a perfect example is that I thought I was, being one of the senior leaders on the team and everything. I thought I was, I had a little ego to myself. Okay. Don't know why. It's not like I was,
good tennis players usually do.
Yeah. Come on. You're out there by yourself, man. Y'all have to be a little bit of a different breed, man.
Okay. I was a doubles player. Okay. I was a doubles player. So that's number one. But number two, I thought I was, I had a little ego to myself, 17 years old, thinking, man, I got this team. I'm the, one of the team captains and everything. The team decides to, we're going to dress up for the last home game of the season. All right. Back in those days, I know y'all see me dressed up every night on TV, but back in those days, I did not like dressing up at all. So I was like, okay, I'll throw a polo on. I'll throw some slacks on. I'll be cool. But everybody on the team says, we're going to wear ties. I come to school, come get ready for the game. Do not wear a tie. Coach is like, Jack, why are you not wearing a tie? And I was like, I'm dressed up. I'm like, no, everybody says you wear the tie. And I'm like, Coach, I'm dressed up. I was like, so she's like, you're going to run something extra for not dressing up like everybody else. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I basically lose my crap in the hallway before we leave. And she's like, okay, so this is how you gonna act. Fine, you're benched. And I'll never forget that moment, because it reminds me all the time. It does not matter if you're the captain. It doesn't matter if you're the superstar. It doesn't matter if you're the team's best player. Is that no one person is above a team. So you have to lead by example, and that's what I try to do nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. That's great. Hey, look, man, check this out. Now, Thrift and I, we got a running bet here that you happen to know the itinerary for the press conference today that's been moved to 1:00. And obviously, and I was just kind of telling Thrift, it probably is going to be like this, like that, like this. But go ahead and tell us what's going to be the order of protocol today.
Well, I'm figuring you guys are talking about the Clingstones Media Day.
Yes, sir.
So it's not so much a press conference as it is opportunities for the media to, interview the team prior to the season getting going. They get the season underway Friday in Montgomery against the Biscuits.
Yeah.
And this is an opportunity, they just named the roster yesterday officially. They just named the roster yesterday. So, and we have 9 of the top 30 prospects in the Braves organization. So that is a huge, huge deal. So it's an opportunity for us to interview, obviously, the manager, Cody Gabella, which we've already done during spring training. But now that he knows his roster, an opportunity to get his thoughts on that. And then an opportunity to meet the players for the first time. There's some real good players on this staff. The first name that popped out into my mind is Blake Burkhalter, who was the closer for Auburn the last time they made it to the College World Series a couple years ago. So he's gonna be in the bullpen for the Clingstones. So that's for me, just remembering that run, that's a huge, huge deal. But like I said, 9 of the top 30 going to the coming here to Columbus for the Clingstone season. So it's an opportunity for us to, meet them, get to know them, find out their expectations for the year, and so on and so forth. So that's what today is going to be all about, is just getting to know the team and getting ready for the season that kicks off in a couple of days.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Jack. And I thought about making a joke right now with it being April 1st. I'm going to save it to when I see you in person. You're still going to get it, Jack. You know me. Listen, I have a name over at WRBL apparently, and it's called the Agent of Chaos. Rex Castillo dubbed me that, and I'm like, oh, why am I called Chaos? He's like,
that says so much, because Rex is an agent of chaos in his own right. For him to call you that says a lot.
Hey, no, exactly. And that's why we get along so well, Jack. But listen, speaking of chaos, the River Dragons, man, it's just like they're limping in the playoffs. Now, I've said this over and over again. It's not about how you start. It's about how you finish. Well, they're not finishing strong either. But last year they finished strong and got beat in the conference championship. What's your feel on these River Dragons? Because I feel like this team either can make a deep run or can get bounced in the first round.
So first things first, they're in the playoffs, okay? They clinched the playoff berth yet on Sunday night, so they are in the playoffs, okay? So their season will not end in the regular season. We know that for a fact, okay? But my biggest thing is kind of the same thing I've been telling you this entire time, is that, it's, with the way that the FPHL operates, it's hard to, keep things consistent. And then on top of that, the division has gotten leaps and bounds better than it was the last 2 years. The last couple of years, it was just the River Dragons and the Thunderbirds battling for the division title.
Right.
Okay. Now you've got Baton Rouge has gotten better. You've got Athens, who wasn't even a team last year. Okay. Right. And not only are they a team, they're good. Okay. You even had Monroe that's been better. Okay. And even in the other division, you've had teams that are playing better. Now, Binghamton has been far and away the best team in the league this year. So if you look at the standings, it's like, well, Jack, what are you talking about? But seriously, the FPHL has gotten better as a whole this year. So like I keep telling you, it's not so much that, oh my gosh, you look at the standings and the River Dragons are, in third place and you're not used to it, and this is what I try to tell people is like, don't get that Braves fan syndrome, okay? Because you get so used to winning, and the talent or in the competition around you gets better so they can beat you, okay? That's the name of the game in sports, okay? It's not like you stay stagnant and expect the same results, okay? Especially in the FPHL where, rosters change on a daily.
Right.
So once again, just because you look at the roster and you see the River Dragons in third place in the division, it does not mean that, oh my gosh, the River Dragons are terrible, okay? Have faith in your squad. Have faith in Boom Boom, okay? This team has the capability of making a run in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Jack, look, I want to pivot here. The last 4 or 5 minutes here of this interview, I want to pivot to something that's near and dear to my heart. And he was a guest on our show yesterday, and that's, of course, you're a member of your news team, Phil Scoggins. I was on the desk with him in June of 1998 when we launched with of course, over at WRBL. And Teresa Whitaker was there as well. Now you get to sit on the same stage, on the same platform with those two Hall of Famers, man. And I tell you what a blessing it was for me then, and certainly what a blessing it is for you now. And congratulations to Phil Scoggins once again, and Teresa Whitaker, who was already inducted into the GAB Hall of Fame. But for Phil to, of course, most recently been, inducted over the weekend.
DJ, I'll be honest, and people might think, is cliche, but, I still pinch myself to realize that I get to work next to now two Hall of Famers, even though they were Hall of Famers in my mind long before they got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
And, in my mind, I feel like I work next to three Hall of Famers because I feel like there's going to be a spot in that Hall of Fame reserved for Bob Jeswald as well.
Yeah.
So I legitimately have to pinch myself because sometimes you think about you watch these guys growing up, okay?
Yeah.
Like when I first got into sports and everything like that in like the early 2000s, I have this memory And like, I was 8 years old. I was playing for Edgewood. I was playing for Mike Woods.
Okay.
Playing football for Edgewood. And it was the Peanut Bowl weekend. And I'll never forget it. Okay. It was, Phil was filling in on a Saturday, I think. And it was the day of the Peanut Bowl. And me on the offensive line for Edgewood, I'm in the tease video, and Phil is tossing to the, say, coming up in sports, we'll have highlights from the Peanut Bowl. And like I said, DJ, that was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. That is one of my first memories of watching local TV news. Okay. Because it was me in that video, and Phil is the soundtrack over it.
Right.
And like I said, man, even when I start becoming the news nerd that I am,
well, this would screw up on us here in the in the
very end, especially when we're trying to talk about Phil. Who's out there hating on Phil right now?
I don't know, but we got some little squirrels in the system, huh?
Yeah, we do. So, Jack, if you can join us here, we got a few minutes before we got to. Oh, there we go. Go ahead, Jack. Finish what you're saying, man.
I have no idea what the heck happened there, but picking up where I thought it broke up at, basically, even when I became a news nerd and I started really getting into local TV and everything, in high school, I'm like, man, I get to, I always watch Phil and Teresa and Bob, just as much as I watch the guys over at Channel 9 as well, and to actually get to work with them is insane. And then to actually be on the anchor desk with them is mind blowing. I still had to pinch myself sometimes. It's like, I wrote a letter to Phil. His wife did a really awesome thing for his induction. He got people around the station. She got people around the station to write letters to him and for like a scrapbook kind of deal. And I wrote in that scrapbook, I'm like, what do you tell a guy whose expectations have been, that you get to work next to his heroes?
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, it's the truth. It really is the truth that I get to work next to three of the people that I look up to in this business on the daily basis, man. And I don't care, how old you are or how young you are, but you always got people you look up to. You always got heroes. And to be able to do something like that on a daily basis, man, to say it's a blessing is a massive understatement.
Absolutely. Hey, man, before you get out of here, let everybody know where they can catch you on social media and where they can watch you on television tonight.
All right, I'm back on TV tonight, y'all. So follow me on Twitter at JPatterson.TV, the News 3 Sports teams at WRBL Sports, and follow us on Facebook at WRBL News 3 Sports. And like I said, I'm back on TV tonight at 6 o'clock right here on WRBL News 3. We'll have full coverage of Clingstone's Media Day coming your way. And of course, we'll be looking towards the Auburn Tigers in the Final Four as well. And don't you look now, but the Masters just around the corner as well. There's going to be a busy week coming up on News 3 Sports. We got you covered.
Absolutely. Hey, man, you have a wonderful rest of your morning. We appreciate you, JP.
See you Thursday, fellas.
See you this afternoon.
See you this afternoon, brother.
There you go,
I'll
JP.
see y'all. Okay. I'll see you here Thursday, but I'll see y'all this afternoon.
All
Thanks,
right.
JP.
Take care, bud. Hey, that's JP.
Love him.
Absolutely.
By the way, before we go, DJ, I want to shout out Rex. He says, big shout out to UFL Tay Crowder, Harris County linebacker, playing for the Birmingham Stallions. And then he said, Thrift takes it to a new level. We just like to keep it interesting when call me the agent of chaos, and Rex too.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break. You're watching Facebook Live, and you're listening to WLTC HD2 Sports Visions 921. This is the Sports Visions Morning Show.
Every other night, another dollar getting made. Every other night started with a good day. I feel like a child, I got boogers in the...
You're listening to the Sports Visions Morning Show. Sports Visions 92.1.
What's going on, everyone? Thrift Barringer here from Sports Visions 92.1 FM and Georgia, Alabama Sports Live. This is the perfect time of year if you're a sports fan. NCAA March Madness, Masters, opening day of baseball, NBA playoff push, and more. Now, I have you a way to make you a little bit more green while watching all these awesome sports. It's called Prize Picks. Download the Prize Pick app right now to get action on sports in more than 30 states that include California, Texas, and yes, Georgia. The app's really easy to use. All you got to do is create a lineup, and then you pick more or less on a few player stats for your shot to win $1,000. Now I got a little secret. Come in close. If you download the app right now and use promo code Tigers, you'll get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app, use promo code Tigers, and I'm going to give you $50 after you play your first $5 lineup. You can thank me later. I love Prize Picks. So will you. Prize Picks. Run your game.
This hour of the Sports Visions Morning Show is brought to you by Global Diagnostic Services. Are you ready to make a difference in healthcare? Global Diagnostic Services is hiring. We're looking for compassionate and skilled registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, x-ray technicians, and ultrasound technicians to join our growing team. At Global Diagnostics, we offer competitive pay where you can thrive and advance your career. If you're passionate about patient care and want to be a part of a team that's dedicated to excellence, we want to hear from you. Whether you're looking for a full-time position or a flexible part-time opportunity in the state of Georgia, visit globaldiagnostic.net to apply today.
The Finley Firm specializes in representing clients in wrongful death and personal injury cases.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-230-2777. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-230-2777. That's 800-230-2777 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. 800-230-2777.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because when people don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, they can truly thrive, like Marta.
And now we'll hear from our class valedictorian, who with our hard work never ceases to amaze us. Please welcome Marta Moreno.
And Alex.
Hey, Alex, how did the interview go? I did it. I got the job. I can't believe it. I knew it. Let's meet up later to celebrate.
And Diego.
Mom, I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow. feedingamerica.org/actnow. A public service announcement brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
WLTC HD2 Casita and W221DP Columbus. You're listening to the Sports Visions Morning Show. Sports Visions 92.1. You're waking up with a Sports Visions Morning Show on Sports Visions 92.1. Now back to former Green Bay Packer DJ Jones and Thrift Barringer.
Welcome back to the Sports Visions Morning Show. DJ Jones, Thrift Barringer, and big shout out to, of course, Jack Patterson, our guy. Again, we're going to look forward to seeing Jack down at the Synovus Park today for the Flintstones Media Day. We're going to have a heck of a time down there. It's an opportunity for us to meet the manager and all the staff, the coaches, and all the players. And looking forward to that. Also, big shout out to Glen Ford. Having an opportunity to talk to Glen and again catch up on his career, and just really proud of all the wonderful things that he's doing now. And again, we are just so happy that he's making a move, and Dale McGee has put him on his staff again with all the expertise that he has, all the training, all the acclaim that Glen Ford has built up for himself over the past 20 years. He's now taking that and he's going to be parlaying that on the program of Georgia State University.
Exactly. And this is where, and I think also too, this is a guy that obviously is around a lot of top-notch athletes or been around a lot of top-notch athletes. He's a heck of a recruiter. Why would you not hire him? And I feel like he'll be at Georgia State, and then he'll end up getting that call from Kirby or someone else. He'll be at the D1 level. I mean, I'm talking about Power 5 level, excuse me.
Well, you know, he got to understand that, you know, he has a successful training business. And listen, hear me out. You know, I don't know, as an entrepreneur, you know, if he wants to be able to take on the responsibilities of a full-time coach. Now, again, I could be wrong. I'm not speaking for him. I'm just basing it on what he's been able to build. Now, you know as well as I do, you know, the coaching requires a lot of time. You have to recruit and travel and do different things. But, you know, I think Glenn, and this is a conversation I think I need to have again, and we will talk to him again. But I don't see it. I don't see him taking on a major responsibility with a major staff, because his training, I Dare You, is so important.
Yeah, and it's very successful. IDareYou.org. That is IDare and the letter U.org to get training packages, to get involved and see if you can help get yourself or your athlete to the next level.
All right, without further ado, we told you we can help educate and inform you, and that's what we do here on the Sports Visions Morning Show. I please like to welcome to the show, of course, a good friend and a very smart young man, Kelvin Red. How are you, sir? Good morning. You're muted, buddy. I can't hear you. You're not the first time.
Got it.
There you are. You're brilliant. Hey, listen, man, congratulations. Good morning, and glad to have you on. It's been way too long since we've last talked.
I'm glad to be here, and thank you for the young man reference. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey, man, we introduce you as, of course, a leadership expert. And again, you will be able to give us in detail the correct pronunciation and the announcement of exactly what you do. But I have to do this. You are the son of one of the legendary Hall of Fame coaches from Central High School, Coach James Red. And I have to do that because, again, he's a legend and you're not.
Well, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
But yeah, good. So for the folks out there listening, I've been talking about this and teasing and promoting it. But give us your official title, because again, this whole leadership talk and this, I'm just excited to get on with it. But give us your official title.
Well, I am the CEO of Kelvin Red LLC, and I am a leadership coach. And but here's the thing. I know you asked me to come on and talk about leadership, and I do that a lot. But my spiel is this. There's so much talk about leadership these days, but rarely do you hear anyone talk about self-awareness.
Okay.
And the two are inextricably linked. You can't have one without the other. And so I define self-awareness as understanding who you are, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, utilizing your strengths to overcome your weaknesses, but at a far deeper level, understanding and knowing your reason for being. In other words, why are you here? Okay, so why are you here? Why do you get up every morning to do the things that you do? Did you get up this morning because that's what you did yesterday morning and you're one step closer to a goal that you don't have? That's the question you have to ask. So being that this is Sports Visions, I am, I grew up in a sports world, but I've been fortunate that I worked at Synovus for 13 years, and I was there when it was voted the best place to work in America. And so I know what good leadership is, and I know what good leadership is not. Matter of fact, let me just say it this way. I know what great leadership is.
Right.
And I know what good leadership is not. And then I spent 10 years at the Pastoral Institute. And that's when I learned all about the importance of mindset and like going deeper and understanding who you are. And so that is really critical. And for me, I believe in the sports world that the coaches out there who are really on that, and I don't say you're self-aware, I say you're on a journey towards self-awareness, because we all have those slip-ups, kind of like going to church. You go for a full year and all of a sudden you miss 2 straight months. You're still a Christian, right? But not that I do that, anyway, that's another subject. But it's understanding like who you are. And so I look at coaches, when talent is equal, then the mind really comes in. Right. And sometimes when the talent is not equal, the mind comes in. Like, how do you get a team up to play a team that you should beat?
Right.
Or you've already beaten them twice. And I really wish, like right now, we talked about this yesterday. I am studying my PhD, but I'm doing it basically because there's some things I really want to learn. But one thing I really wish, because they give you the option, and there's research already out there, they'll let you, do it. But I would be curious to know, what does it take to beat a team 3 times in one season? or 4 times. Like if Auburn had to play Ole Miss last week, you know what I'm saying? Like what mental mindset do you have to have? I look at locally,
right?
Central and Auburn, they play each other in football, and it's a grinding out regular season game, and it's in October. Well, then 3 weeks later you play again. You know, like what's the mindset you take if you're the winner? You know, that kind of thing. So that's what I work with CEOs, school superintendents, college presidents, and what have you on helping them on their journey towards self-awareness so that they can build those necessary teams.
Good stuff. Good stuff. But, you know, again, Kelvin, and when we talk, and I know that you could talk sports and without talking anything, but we want to take this opportunity to start. I'm not to say that we're going to end all be all, because this is not going to be the last conversation that we're going to have, but this is just introductory to, you know, and the thing about what we do on Sports Visions is that, you know, we talk about things that relate to making us better as a community. Yeah. And, you know, sports galvanizes us as a community. It, you know, brings the old, young, rich, poor, white, black. I mean, it is not anything, nothing else that I've been around that galvanizes. There's a lot of people listening to this show right now who don't think I know that they're listening, but I know they are, because they know what they're going to get. They're going to get something. They're going to get something other than some scores and some X's and O's. They're going to get, you know, some nuggets about life. And having you here, thank you, first of all, again. But you hear about, you know, leadership Georgia. You hear about leadership in corporate America. You hear about leadership in athletics. Tie that all into it. I mean, give me the big picture before we start, you know, breaking this thing down. Why is it so important that leadership is of the essence?
Well, John Maxwell says everything begins and ends with leadership. I say leadership begins and ends with self-awareness. It's important. It starts at the top. That's why a lot of times, and here's, you said so, I want to mention something to you. Yeah. You know, I've had my wife, she's come to several of my workshops. And when it's over, I said, I didn't give too many sports analogies, did I? Because I did, you know, when I worked at Synovus, Jim Blanchard always brought up sports in his examples that he gave. But it's so critical if you're the CEO, the school superintendent, the head football coach, the senior pastor, you got to walk the walk, you know? Yeah. And one of the things, and here's another thing you got to keep in mind too, like Columbus, Phoenix City, Smith Station, Auburn, these areas, I've always said Columbus was like a big little town. Right. Well, Phoenix City and Smith Station and Harris County, those communities, you know, you got to keep something in mind. If you're a principal, a school superintendent, city manager, whatever, mayor, you got to keep something in mind. The eyes are always on you.
Right.
Like everywhere you go, somebody knows who you are.
Right.
And so people are watching you. And I can tell you right now, from a leadership perspective, I pay attention to what people say. Because let me rephrase that. I pay attention to what people do.
Right.
93% of all communication is nonverbal. So it's not what you say, it's what you do.
Okay.
You know, and if you're a head coach and you're the leader, CEO, right. One of the questions I always ask is, can you trust your number two?
Okay.
Like, can you trust your lead assistant? Because most leaders, college president locally, school superintendent, they're only in the office about 40 to 50% of the time. They're out selling the organization. So when they leave, who's in charge? It's your assistant. And so you got to make sure that person is carrying your vision when you're out of the office.
Right.
You know, when the head coach says something, when the head coach or the leader says something, and the assistant is sitting over there, they're smirking. You know, the coach said, and they go,
right.
You know, somebody sees that. And they know how you feel, you know, that kind of thing. So those are kind of questions. Like when I do a leadership workshop for all leaders, I ask that question: can you trust your number two? Because I think that is really valuable. Another thing that a leader must do, and this is what you see with a lot of great coaches, and that is they always preach the mission, vision, and values of the organization. Right. They preach it so much that it becomes ingrained in the followers. Because if you never talk about it, they don't know what it is.
Right.
I can't follow a vision that I can't see. And so you have to talk about it in some form or fashion, you know, because all these companies and organizations, they've got their mission, they've got their vision, they've got their values, their core values on some kind of, you know, placard or something. Right. But you got to preach it. You got to extract a piece of it in every meeting or every interaction that you have with people who are following you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's powerful. That's powerful. Yeah, that's a good point. You know, in the realm of in the big picture is, you know, all the winning coaches, and it's just as you said, all the winning coaches that I played for, that I've been a part of. And again, I do have a few SEC titles and the national title and the AFC championship title. These gentlemen all had something in common. Everybody on their staff, first of all, they didn't necessarily have to agree with them, you know, but that they weren't going to go against them in front of the team. You know what I'm saying? So it starts at the top and it goes down again, whether it's something, and I'm getting somewhere with this, is that, you know, you treat it like it's yours. If you're a manager in a company and the CEO has a way and he has done something so successful and he's bringing you on and you are the number 2, you're number 3, you're number 4. But, you know, the CEO or the head guy is not gone. The head coach is not there. These other folks, man, they're going to run it as if it was theirs. And they're going to care, and they're going to put their heart in it, and they're not going to have all this petty, negative, toxic bull crap in the workplace. And I'm going somewhere with that. But, you know, again, speak to that if you would, Kelvin.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, because for the assistants out there, the assistant school superintendent, the assistant principal, the assistant baseball coach, be patient. Learn as much as you possibly can from your leader, particularly if you're working for a very good leader. If you're working for a very good leader, be patient, watch, observe, pay attention to them, learn as much as you can. We live in a society right now, you know, people want it now. I want my own program. I want to leave. Look at Kirby Smart. Stay with Nick, 11, 12 years?
Yeah.
Dude, I knew he was going to be the next up and coming. It was easy to see. You learn from the best. And so I think that's critical.
Kelvin, this is a fascinating conversation. And when talking about leadership, and it's something that I've always thought about. And I want to know your opinion on, are you born as a leader? And when I'm talking about you can have leadership qualities and not be a leader. You can have good qualities, does not make you a leader. Are you born with those, like instinct to take charge of a room? Is that something you can learn to do? What's your mindset on becoming a leader? Is it something you have inside you or something you can learn?
I'm glad you brought that up, because I used to ask that question all the time when I got started. I think the answer is both. I think genetically you're born with some predisposition on doing certain things.
Right.
But I think leadership is learned for the most part. And listen, let me just say this. Just because you show leadership skills when you're 16, 17, 18 as a high school quarterback, starting linebacker, you probably picked that up from your grandmother, your grandfather,
right,
your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle. You learn them. If you're, you know, one of the things I listen to Shannon Sharp a lot. And one of the things my grandmama always told me, my grandfather always, you learn things as you grow up. And then as you continue to mature, because maturity is really, really critical.
Right.
As you mature, sometimes those things just naturally progress. But then it really blossoms when you have a leader who teaches you and you learn more. But I think it's a combination of both.
You know, this is a great point. And we got a lot of coaches. We got a lot of, corporate folks out there. This is just not this sports show. Again, as I mentioned, it galvanizes the community, man. Unlike anything else that I've ever been around. And you know what, by you being able to relate to sports as well as the corporate side, you know, that's a special talent as well.
Well, let me tell you something. I grew up on my father's knees. Like I will say this, if my father had been born in another era, like in this era,
right,
I could see him at a Power 5 school coaching. And I sat there and I listened to him and I watched him and I was at practice. And not just him, like I give a perfect example. I remember when Central played Carver in football when Jeremiah Castile played.
Yeah.
Do you know Coach Trawick used to allow my dad to bring me and my sister and we sat on the bus and rode to the football game?
Good stuff. Good.
Like, so I have been around coaches and I've listened to them talk and I understand where they come from. Like, and I give you an example. You all were talking before the show. I thought it was interesting. You were talking about, you got to be tough on these, you're talking to the young people, you got to be able to respond to this tough love and stuff. But I want to keep something in mind. There's this generational shift that's happening in America right now.
Okay.
And I say this with all the love in the world and with grace. But I actually had a college president to tell me that this generation was soft. And you got to be really careful how you communicate with them. Like you really, really have to be communicating. Like I grew up, my father was tough as nails. You know, he got a lot of technical files. You know, you watch TV right now and you hear commentators, he better be careful. He's going to get a tech. My father's like, I don't give a crap about a tech, you know, that kind of thing. And so being a leader today, you're a minister, you're a psychologist, you're a teacher, you're a father, you're a mother. You wear a lot of hats.
Right.
And you got to embrace that. I mean, to whom much is given, much is required. You know, when I've spoken to teachers, I'm like, I always ask questions, or educators, I should say, how many of you think this is your calling? And they all raise their hands. I said, well, if this is your calling, you got to understand that in Latin, the word calling means to suffer. It means to suffer. It's not going to be a bed of roses. And let me just point this out too, because this really gets, you know, leadership is, I see so much leadership is called a soft skill. Leadership is not a soft skill. Leadership is hard. And I learned this at the Pastoral Institute. I can be willing to bet you that the majority of people in our community, anywhere in America, the problems you have at work are not task related. You understand the job. The problem you have at work and in the communities with people. So don't tell me leadership is soft. It's hard. It's hard dealing with every type of personality known to mankind. Like it's difficult. And so you got to really be able to observe and understand people.
I tell you something, Kelvin. You know, if you're just joining us, Kelvin Red is our leadership expert. Of course, he's going in there. He's taking a deep dive with us into this leadership. And again, he's going to be a guest that's going to come on periodically because, you know, where we're headed right now. And again, the leadership is so important. You know, even at the smallest level in the communities, we need to make sure that we understand, you know, the responsibilities and what's expected of you. Now, when you talk about football and the leadership, and again, you know, you got some of the greats, one of the goats of the game that is an advocate for leadership training. Nick Saban, make no bones about it. He tells folks that again, he believes in the training. And again, I don't know if you've had any experiences with him or not, but some of the top coaches in America, they're instituting this now into their programs, and it's a part of their programs. They're involving their players and their staffs.
Well, several years ago, I was watching. I flipped the channel. I was watching Alabama, and they were up 59-0 on Vanderbilt. Now, I'm not in the habit of watching a 59-0 blowout, but the television was on, and Allie LaForce came on, and she was talking about a conversation she had with Minka Fitzpatrick, and they were talking about a personality test that they use at Alabama. I jumped out of my skin because I use Emergenetics, and I know for a fact that is the one that Nick Saban was using. That's what we use.
Say that again.
It's called Emergenetics, EMER genetics, and it's a brain-based personality assessment, and it really is about the left brain and the right brain. And we used it at Synovus extensively. Aflac uses it. Matter of fact, I brought Dr. Gail Browning, who founded it. She came into Aflac and she certified people there. Jim Blanchard, Bill Turner, they love Dr. Gail Browning, who founded it. But here's the story about that. So they're talking about it, and my first thought was, well, who the heck did the workshop? Because typically when there was a Emergenetics International is located just outside of Denver, and their CEO at the time, the president, Morgan, he was a sports fanatic just like I am. Whenever there was a workshop needed in the Southeast and he didn't want to come south, he said, Kelvin, do you want to do this workshop for me? So I'm thinking to myself, well, who did this workshop? And come to find out, it was a colleague of mine who I used to work with who did. And I was really bummed because I was like, my God, I would love to get into the University of Alabama. But I think it underscores the impact, the understanding that Nick Saban had, and understanding like people are wired differently. And you got to understand that. You know, you're opposites do attract. Studies show that. And you got to understand, if you're a head football coach, follow me here because I'm getting really excited. In Emergenetics, we look at left brain and right brain. The left brain are people who are highly analytical and they're very structured, process oriented. The right brain, those are folks who are more social and they're conceptual, big picture. Jim Blanchard, see the big picture, loves being around people. Well, if you look at coaches today, we hear a lot about Nate Oates at Alabama. Taught analytics. I never forget when I was first watching one of Alabama's games. It was the second or third game when he was the head coach, and they mentioned that he taught statistics in high school. My first I kid you not, words that came out of my mouth. Oh, Bruce, you better be ready. Because here's the deal. He's very highly analytical. Bruce is very social. Now, let me just say this. There's a lot of talk in the world, in the sports world, about analytics. I just read an article the other day. I wish I could find it. And they said, okay, has analytics run its course? But here's the thing you got to understand about analytics. If you're not a math and science major,
right,
I'd stay away from it because you probably don't understand it.
Here we go.
Okay. If you're a right brain person like Bruce, Pete Carroll,
DJ Jones,
Kelvin, you have a strong gut instinct. And that gut instinct has led you and maneuvered you through organizations and people and processes. Like you go this, oh, don't go that way because I got a bad feeling about that person.
Right.
You better take a right turn. You take a right turn, it's like, ooh, you better stay. Oh, don't go in that organization. Oh, no. That gut instinct, scientists have discovered that we have billions of neurons in our spinal cord. They're just as strong as the analytics.
Wow.
Follow your gut. And I've seen it in sports. The example I give is interesting, and I hope I have enough time to tell you.
You got time, brother.
You got plenty of time.
Several years ago, Auburn was playing Ole Miss. This is when Hugh Freeze was coaching at Ole Miss, and they were playing really good. Auburn wasn't. We were struggling at the time. It was our home game. I think it was our first home game in 2 or 3 weeks, and it's 3rd and 10. We're on our own 40-yard line, and we get 8 yards, and maybe 8.5. And Gus Malzahn calls off the starters and sends out the punt unit, and the crowd starts booing. They're boo. I mean, their boos are raining down because we're at midfield, score 0-0. We're in the second quarter, I believe. The crowd wanted us to go for it. Now, in my football mind, I'm thinking, look, you can't move the ball, dude. Just punt it deep and let them try to go 80 yards. But the crowd was booing. Gus called timeout, and he decided to go for it. Now, I'm up in the stands, and I'm thinking to myself, dude, punt the ball. Reason, because your gut told you, your first instinct says punt the ball, but you were listening to the crowd.
Right.
And we come out there and we go for it, and we don't get it. 3 or 4 plays later, Ole Miss scores. That was not a football play. That was a self-awareness, understanding your gut play. And let me tell you another one, because I've always wanted to do emergenetics for a football coaching staff. And when Jamie Dubose arrived at Central, I was privileged enough to prepare to present the workshop in his first or second year to his staff. We were all in there. We did it at Troy University. So let me tell you how this plays out. Jamie was highly right-brained, but he also was very structured, but he was highly right-brained. So that means he had a strong gut instinct. And I asked him one time, I said, how do you call plays? He said, well, if it feels good, I might call the same play 3 or 4 times. If it feels good. If it feels good. Follow me on this.
There we go.
Not analytical, but if it feels good. So check this out. Central, the first year, we played McGill-Tulane. And, Jamie went to the semifinals 3 straight years. I believe that's what it was. Before he won 3 straight years.
Yeah.
So we played McGill-Tulane. We had lost, I think, the first game of the year to Hoover. We went on the streak. McGill was undefeated. We go down to Mobile, and we're in the game, and they jump out. They're 21-7, and they're dominating. We're just really surprised. And we catch up, and the score is tied at 21-21. McGill throws an interception. We pick it off at midfield. Okay? Follow me here. We've got the ball at midfield. We've struggled to get back into this ball game. Now, I was told by a friend of mine after the game that Jamie said when we got the ball, he should have gone deep to Justin Ross. But he didn't do it. He decided to run it. 3 straight plays. We punted the ball. McGill gets it back. We ended up losing 35-21. When that friend told me that Jamie said that, I was like, I started thinking about his emergenetics profile, his personality. It's like something there does not make sense. So I called Jamie and I asked, and I told him I wanted to talk to him. Like football coaches, when the season's over, they go through this mild depression. Right. I had to wait about 2 or 3 weeks before I talked to him. And so I called him up and we talked. And I said, Jamie, explain something to me. I said, I was told that when we had the ball at midfield, that you said you should have gone deep to Justin Ross. I said, why didn't you do that? And here's the thing I said it, because Jamie has a strong gut instinct. If his gut told him to do it, why didn't he do it?
Right.
Well, we also have a set of behaviors. There are 3 behaviors. Follow me here. There's expressiveness, assertiveness, and flexibility. I want to talk about assertiveness. Now, you've got people on the The first third of assertiveness, they're peacekeepers. They don't like conflict. But then you have people on the third of assertiveness. Gino Ariema, okay, Jim Mora, Dan Hurley. They're very assertive. But then you have people who are in the middle. Jamie's profile says that he's in the middle. So I asked the question, why didn't you go deep? And this is what he said. This is the kicker here. He said, I had coaches in my ear. Some coaches were saying, run the ball. The defense is tired. Some coaches were saying, throw the ball deep. When you're in the middle, you tend to flex either way. And in this case, he was flexing toward the ones who had who were more assertive.
Okay.
He was flexing and he listened to them and he decided to go with them. So check this out. The next year we play McGill-Tulane again, this time in Phoenix City. The score is tied 21-21, less than about 2.5 to 3 minutes to go in the ball game. Central's moving into the red zone. We're driving. We're either going to score or kick a field goal. Jamie calls a timeout. They walk over to the sideline. Now, Ryan Nelson, who is at Glenwood, he was in the middle of the offense. Jamie was standing on the outside. Jamie had his play sheet in his hands. I kid you not. Jamie is standing. He's looking at the team, and this is what he does. He takes his play sheet and he goes like that. And when he walks away. When he does that, I looked at my wife. I turned to my wife and I said, I don't think this is going to end very well. And she said, why? And look, me at a football game, crowd going crazy. I said, well, Jamie has a strong gut instinct. And if he turned around and he did like this, he doesn't feel good about something.
Mm-hmm.
We missed the field goal. Going to overtime, McGill wins.
Right.
Follow me. The next year, this time we play McGill, I think in the quarterfinals. We won the first game. So I called Jamie up and I said, Jamie, I want to talk to your team. I talked to him on Saturday. He said, come on over. Sunday at 3 o'clock, 3 to 3:30. And not your team, your coaches. So I go over that Sunday and I tell the coaches, I said, listen, y'all all took the emergenetics profile. I said, listen, Jamie has a strong gut instinct. When he's calling plays, don't disagree with him.
Mm-hmm.
Just follow him. Listen to him. Listen to him. That Friday night, Central finally beat McGill-Tulane, and we won the game. I went out onto the field. I'm not saying I'm responsible, but I go down onto the field after the game. To a T, just about every coach I ran into said, Kelvin, we let him go with his gut. We let him go with his gut. Look, those are not football plays. That's understanding your personality.
Yes, it is.
That's what it's all about.
Yes.
Follow. So I cringe when you may even see me on Twitter or X. I cringe when somebody says, this is what the analytics say. I'm thinking, dude, if you're not a math, my father could have followed analytics easy. He was a chemistry and physics major. He was valedictorian of his high school class. Math came real simple to him.
Yes.
Okay. But me, on the other hand, no, I didn't get that gene. I'm gonna go with my gut.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand this love of analytics. If you didn't major in engineering, math, or statistics, leave it alone.
Absolutely.
And go with your gut because it's powerful.
Kelvin, do this for me because you know what? We've fallen in love with your conversation, but I haven't given you the opportunity to talk about your Auburn Tigers and, of course, the Final Four. Hold it right there. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to flip the script and we're going to, ease off of the analytics or at least ease off of talk and then talk Auburn basketball. All right?
Love it. Thank you.
All right. You're watching Facebook Live and you're listening to WLTC HD2 Sports Visions 921. We are your hometown sports guys.
Go pop it for pop it for me. Turn around and drop it for a plan. Drop it for me. I'll rent a beach house in Miami. Wake up with no jamming.
Stay tuned. More local and national sports coverage next on the Sports Visions Morning Show. Sports Visions 92.1.
Good morning. I'm Rex Castillo. Here's a look at your morning headlines. Jury selection is underway in the capital murder trial of Tahara Brunson, one of 3 suspects accused in the 2020 kidnapping and killing of Auburn teen Thomas Green. Green's body was found 5 days after his abduction. Brunson, 43 years old, is the first to face trial, with opening statements expected once a jury is seated. After years of turmoil, the Chattahoochee Circuit DA's office is rebuilding under Don Kelly. He's brought back Wesley Lambertus, a former prosecutor, to help stabilize the office. Lambertus, who was fired by DA Mark Jones in 2020, is focused on restoring the integrity and purpose of the office, following Jones's conviction for public corruption. He explains there are two principles he'll follow:
maintain justice and to do what is right. And during the tenure of Mark Jones, both of those principles crumbled.
From WRBL News 3, I'm Rex Castillo. Have a great rest of your day.
Good Tuesday morning. We are starting off mild with these temperatures in the 50s, and also watch out for some areas of some light fog. A mix of sun and clouds today with highs climbing in the low 80s later this evening. Tonight, mild and mostly clear with those lows near 60. The rest of the week will become hot as these temperatures soar into the upper 80s and a few low 90s as a high blocks any front from advancing until the weekend, which is our next chance of rainfall in that extended forecast.
The Finley firm specializes in representing clients in wrongful death and personal injury cases.
Corey's Furniture Express, your express way to save.
It's springtime and a perfect time for you to visit Gory's luxurious outdoor patio. This is not your average big box store outdoor furniture. This will last you season after season after season. Sofas, love seats, and outdoor recliners. Come see it for yourself. And that's only at Gory's Furniture, Alabama Highway 169 in Opelika.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-230-2777. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-230-2777. That's 800-230-2777 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. 800-230-2777.
This hour of the Sports Visions Morning Show is brought to you by Global Diagnostic Services.
The only live and local sports morning show. It's the Sports Visions Morning Show with Chattahoochee Valley Sports Hall of Famer DJ Jones and Thrift Barringer on Sports Visions 92.1.
Welcome back to the Sports Visions Morning Show. DJ Jones, Thrift Barringer, and Kelvin Red. Boy, I tell you, Kelvin, you taking us to school today, man. You have given us some definite great information on leadership and some of the things and characteristics, qualities. I mean, way too much that we got to bring you back. We got to bring you back to talk, shop, man, because again, this is not only helping me and Thrift, this is helping the Sports Visions Nation. This is helping our future coaches out there, some people in administration. Again, they're getting a cheap, a scheduled appointment with you without you knowing it. But I appreciate you. And again, I wanted to bring you back to talk Auburn basketball. I know you're a huge Auburn fan. And, the fact of the matter, that Auburn's going to open up with the Gators in the Final Four. What's your thoughts?
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be one interesting Final Four. Whoever wins this Final Four, they're going to be dog tired Tuesday morning. They're going to, because whoever wins it will deserve it. Put it like that. And whoever wins, I won't be surprised. And whoever loses, I won't be surprised. But I feel really good about Auburn, because here's one thing that I really like about Bruce Pearl is that when Auburn seems like they're facing insurmountable odds, like we're a underdog, that's when we really play really, really good. And we haven't really had that in a while. We've been favored to just about win every game. So that's one thing that I like. I like the fact that, oddly enough, I'm kind of glad we lost to Florida in the middle of, in the regular season.
Me too.
And now, again, it goes back. I think it might put a little bit more pressure on Florida to win this basketball game. So I like our chances. I really do.
I think that's a great point, Kelvin. And with speaking of Auburn, huge fan of them too, Kelvin. My granddad went there and played there, so just ingrained in me to cheer on for the Auburn Tigers. Yes.
Time out. Who's your granddad?
Larry Bush. He actually graduated from Central, and he
with Bill
Ray. Yeah, Bill, Ray, and Bobby Bush. So the Bush brothers. By the way, Bobby and Ray Ray was a few years ago, but Bobby just got into the Central Memorial Foundation. DJ, is that what it's called?
It is the
Hall of Fame.
It's the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
but I thought they called a little bit something.
Central Red Devil.
Yes, he's in the Hall of Fame. Anyway, both his brothers are, but he played there as well. But we love Auburn in our family. Kelvin. And this Auburn Tigers team, I'm going to make mention what you just said. Losing to Florida early in the year, you got to think motivation is going to be on Auburn's side. If you look at the odds coming out, Auburn's the 4th best odds. All these websites are coming out, rank the top 4 Final Four teams. You know where they got Auburn? Number 4. The number 1 overall seed is number 4.
Well,
now,
go ahead. You get me excited. You get me hyped. Let me point out something. Let's talk about the mindset. Okay, Auburn is getting a lot of flack for losing 3 out of our last 4 ball games.
Yes,
in the regular season. Let me ask you. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about mental mindset. You clinched the SEC regular season, right? Emotionally, you go down after that. You clinch it early too, because I remember when we clinched it the last week of the season.
Yeah,
and you're still playing really, really hard. So you clinch it early. Emotionally, you go down a little bit, and on top of that, you're playing tough teams. You play Alabama, and then you clinch the regular season in Kentucky, and then you got to go to Texas A&M. Buzz, who's always given Bruce trouble, at Texas A&M, they were really good. That was a recipe for disaster. I was like, this is.
I knew we were going to lose that one, Kelvin.
I was like, okay, we'll probably lose that ball game. The only game we lost down the stretch that really concerned me was Tennessee, because I thought they literally took it to us. But at the same time, Chad Baker-Mazara was not Chad Baker-Mazara. And I texted a couple of my friends. I said, which Chad do you like? I said, because when he gets on the edge and he crosses that line,
there we go.
You have a fit. You don't like it. I said, but when you reel him in, then he becomes withdrawn and a little timid. I like the Dennis Rodman Chad Baker-Mazara. I can live with the consequences. Get out there and be physical, agitate, do all those kinds of things. From a matchup standpoint, I really believe we're going to guard them a lot better on the perimeter this time.
Yeah.
Now, every matchup we go into, I'm a little bit concerned about our bigs down low, because Janai can dominate you if you're no taller than 6'11". All right, he will dominate. He'll have a good game if you are taller than 6'11", but he'll dominate. And we've seen that in Michigan State throughout the year. The only team that concerns me, well, I can't say that. They all concern me because each team brings something uniquely different.
Yeah.
I find it interesting. 3 of the 4 teams, we live in this era where everybody's running 5 out, 4 round 1. Kelvin Sampson's not spending a lot of time on that. Bruce runs the flex offense, and Golden, he doesn't run it a lot, right? Duke runs it a lot, and so to me, from a tactical standpoint, that's going to be interesting. How the game is actually played out. I'm also curious to know how will the game be officiated. Are they going to let them play? I go to every Auburn home basketball game. This year was the first year I didn't do it because I got sick. I had surgery twice, and Auburn basketball actually brought me joy, emotional sadness too, because sitting there watching it. And when I'm not at a game, I'm frustrated. I'm like, oh gosh, I flipped the channels. I can't watch. Sunday, I flipped the channel several times, and then I came back.
Kelvin.
I was thinking, okay, what's the score now? I was so nervous. But I really was, because I wanted them to win so bad. But I really like the idea. I think we're going to guard the perimeter very well against Florida. They do a lot of cuts. They cut like the old Princeton offense very well. And I went back and looked at the game this past week, yesterday, as a matter of fact, when we played Florida. I said that's one of the ways they got a lot of backdoor cuts, a lot of them. And I'd be curious to know if we guard them really, really closely, or we back off just a little bit. Now, when you back off them, I'm talking about the guys without the ball,
right,
down low, because they're coming off those pin downs and they're doing those back cuts, and that can really hurt you. And so I'm curious to know how will we deal with that. Another thing I noticed that Bruce did stop doing when we played Alabama. It seems like when we're playing a team that has good guards, Bruce doesn't press full court. We didn't press full court against Alabama when they came to town. Now, it could have been because he was tired. We were a little bit tired down the stretch. I did hear him say he was worried about our energy level, the injuries. He had cut back on practice. So that may have been a reason. Because sometimes you don't want to get into a speed up game with certain teams, and this may be one. I don't know. I did not think Michigan State could run with Auburn. I was like, I don't think you could do it. I really, really don't. But these teams that are left, particularly Duke and Florida, I think they can. And I think it'll probably come down to the last possession or two. I really believe that if we can, but I see us cutting down the nets. I really, really do.
I got one more question, though. I got to ask, man.
Yes.
I love Auburn. I know you do too. And that's,
Yeah.
I got to meet you, Kelvin. I got to meet you in person. I think we'll have some great conversations. But if Janai Broome or Chad Baker-Mazar were not in Auburn Tiger uniform, would they be the most hated players that you would cheer against? Because in my opinion, when I see Janai Broome say, I'm done, he comes back and hits a three, I'm like, all right, this is a little bit of showmanship, which I'm okay with. I am fine. That is his personality. But he's a type of player, same with Chad Baker-Mazar. If you're on the other team, you're like, I can't stand that dude. Do you have that same mindset?
Yeah, and Chad is so funny. Chad, just like KD Johnson, they have a national reputation because but here's I got to give Bruce credit. He lets them be who they are.
Exactly.
In this day and age. Now, in the old days, I can name a lot of coaches who would have reined them in.
Yeah.
But in this day and age, he's letting them be who they are. And I don't have a problem with it whatsoever.
And
I'm like, look, if bragging, here's the deal. In sports, you can't, sports politics and entertainment, they don't fit with the rest of the world. They really don't.
Right.
So whatever you see on the basketball court, don't try to relate it to your life and your children and your school. No. Those are different. So whatever happens between the white lines, the basketball court, the ring, unless you do something really, really egregious and stupid, I don't have a problem with it.
Kelvin, we've enjoyed the heck out of this conversation, man. And certainly we'll have more, as I mentioned before. But, again, thank you so much for joining us on the Sports Visions Morning Show, man. And you have a great rest of your morning.
Thank you, Kelvin.
Thank you, DJ. Always a pleasure, guys. Thank you so much.
All right. Wow. Kelvin Redd, ladies and gentlemen, he took us to school in leadership, and you heard him talking about back cuts and all that. That's a coach's son, huh?
Listen, man, that guy could host a sports radio talk show, man, easily. That guy's a very talented guy, and I enjoy talking to him.
Absolutely. All right, you can only get it right here, lady. The only live local sports talk show in East Alabama, West Central Georgia. It's off the chain. Tell a friend to tell a friend that the Sports Visions Morning Show is on weekdays at 6 a.m. We're going to take a short break. Going to come back for the final segment. You're watching Facebook Live, and you're listening to WLTC HD2 Sports Visions 921. We are your hometown sports guys.
Trying to keep it peaceful is a struggle for me. Don't pull up at 6 a.m. to cuddle with me. You know how I like it when you loving on me.
Hey, it's Dan Patrick. Thanks for making us your home for local, regional, national sports talk in the Chattahoochee Valley. This is Sports Visions 92.1.
This hour of the Sports Visions Morning Show is brought to you by Global Diagnostic Services. Are you ready to make a difference in healthcare? Global Diagnostic Services is hiring. We're looking for compassionate and skilled registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, x-ray technicians, and ultrasound technicians to join our growing team. At Global Diagnostics, we offer competitive pay where you can thrive and advance your career. If you're passionate about patient care and want to be a part of a team that's dedicated to excellence, we want to hear from you. Whether you're looking for a full-time position or a flexible part-time opportunity in the state of Georgia, visit globaldiagnostic.net to apply today.
Attorney advertising. Local counsel, Alexander should not run trial attorneys. Paid after dramatization. Past results do not guarantee future results in each case.
It's not if it's gonna happen. It's when it happens. What you gonna do? I'm talking about an accident. When it happens, what you gonna do? Do you have a plan? If you had to be out of work for the next 6 months right now, do you have a plan? What's your plan? If the doctor told you you on bed rest right now, you can't wash yourself. You can't do nothing for yourself. Do you have a plan? This is real life. I have a plan. I'm calling Top Dog. He gotta go bite him. Whoever put me in this situation, he gotta go bite him. I want top dollar for this. The pain, top dollar. The loss, top dollar. Everything I lost, I want it back plus more. Top Dog Law.
The Finley Firm specializes in representing clients in wrongful death and personal injury cases.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem.
Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd, 12 to 3 on Sportsvisions 92.1. Now back to the Sportsvisions morning show. Here's Carver Tigers legend DJ Jones and Thrift Barringer.
Welcome back to the final segment of the Sportsvisions morning show. DJ Jones, Thrift Barringer, and man, oh man, another great day, Thrift. I know, with Kelvin Red and Uncle talking leadership and again, how it relates to the corporate world, how it relates to athletics, how it relates to entertainment. I mean, it's I tell you, it's a special thing, man, but you got to have it. I mean, all the good ones, all the successful people have to, have it in some form or fashion.
Yeah, exactly. You got to have leadership qualities. And he said he thinks it's both. You're born with some of them, and then you have to learn some of them. And there are things that you're strong at, and there's things that you're weak at, but everyone has the capability of becoming a good leader.
Well, Kelvin does a great job of explaining it. He's articulate. He's bright. And, of course, he's a coach's son. And I know that, all of that. And, again, it's refreshing to hear him saying what he says, whether it's corporate or whether it's on the athletic side. He can relate and he can make it. He can dub it down and however he needs to say it to whoever he needs to say it to. That's what I enjoy about him being on, and look forward to him coming on in the future to talk to the Sportsvisions Nation, because, again, he has a way, and I think he started today by touching some of these people out here that might need it, that didn't know they needed his services.
Exactly. And anyone that's out there listening, go to Apple or Spotify. You can go back and listen to it again if you did miss it, or Facebook page and YouTube channel, Sportsvisions. That's all you need to type, and you'll be able to find it anywhere and everywhere, this incredible show.
And also Glen Ford, I tell you, shouts out to, of course, Coach Ford, who is on the staff of Dale McGee with the Georgia State Panthers. And, it's just it's a tremendous joy that I can feel and see that, here's a guy that, came up behind me through in the Carver program, but understands. And I always talk about this, Thrift, there's a lot of people out there that are good now, whether they be coaches or players, but they're standing on the shoulders of so many who came before them. I mean, that might not 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it might be 30, 40, 50 years ago that somebody, you're standing on their shoulders. They made a way for you to be who you are. And if you don't acknowledge that, then you're not dealing with reality. Yeah. But again, Glenn understands that. He respects that. He's doing now. He's setting his own footprint, in the mud with regards to greatness. And he went back to talk about that number 17. For the folks that listen to it, number 17 is a jersey number that I wore at Carver High School. I wore it and started it out with the Edgewood Red Devils. But Jefferson Street Joe Gilliam was the quarterback that I love with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He wore number 17. He played behind Terry Bradshaw, and I started following him way back in the day. And number 17 was one of my favorite numbers. I wore it at Carver. I wore it at Georgia. I would have worn it in the pros if they would have allowed me to. But that number 17 is retired up at Carver. And behind me was Tim Walton, who was the coach at he played at Carver as a quarterback as well. He wore number 17 because I wore number 17, and I inspired him. And, of course, Glenn wore number 17 because Tim not only inspired him, but I inspired him as well. So that was a 17 thing that he mentioned. I should have said this a little bit earlier, right after he made mention of it, but he did talk about that 17, and I didn't want you guys to leave here today without understanding what that meant. But all in all, just much love, much respect, and that's what I'll continue to do, Thrift, is that I'm going to bring them on here. You don't have to listen. Maybe you need to turn to another station, but I'm going there. I have to bring and keep it real, as they say, with regards to the people who have gone in the mud and set this tone and this great atmosphere up for athletics in this community, whether they be players, administrators, coaches, I'm going to get them on here to talk to you, and I'm going to also get other people in here that I think can help the coaches, players, as well as the administrators and parents.
Educate, inform, and enlighten.
Say it all the time.
Educate, inform, and enlighten. DJ, we that's what we do here on the Sports Visions Morning Show. And I do want to add too, a big thing I took away with Kelvin, and also I took away with Coach Ford, is that you don't have to play sports to be successful in life.
No.
I mean, Jesus, look at Bill Gates, look at a lot of guys. All right, but I will tell you, one underlining thing for successful people that played sports and go into the professional world, they know how to be a part of a team. They know how to make everyone on their team feel special and important. They know how to make everyone on their team feel like they're contributing to it. They don't try to talk behind people's back. I don't know what kind of team that is, and I've never seen it. Like sometimes you can't overcome it. Look at the Lakers when they had Kobe and Shaq. They were beefing with each other, but guess what? When time came to win a championship, they didn't say a damn word about each other. They didn't badmouth. They were all about the team goal. And I hope everyone can understand that. That is why it is beautiful for those who played sports, especially younger, understand sometimes you just got to do your role, and you got to, if someone else on your team is shining, that's okay, because guess what? You're on their team. You're doing the same thing.
Everybody can't be the quarterback, Thrift. Everybody can't catch the long touchdowns. Everybody can't, run the 50, 60-yard touchdown. But, you got linemen. You got holders on special teams.
Analysts that are doing all the little things.
You got to, come on, man. And again, teamwork makes the dream work. And on all of the successful teams, I promise you, every team that I've been a part of, there hadn't been a jealous bone in the body when you put those jerseys on to say you represented, the University of Georgia, or when you represented whoever you play for. These guys have one mindset and one mindset only. I'm not talking about the losing teams now. I'm talking about the state championship teams. I'm talking about the college national champions. I'm talking about the world champions on the professional level.
Yeah,
it's a different game. And if you haven't played it, if you hadn't been around it, I understand if you don't understand what I'm saying, but. Again, those of us who do, and again, even in the corporate side, the corporate types, the most successful companies, the most enjoyable companies to work for, whatever they call it, those are the companies that are in it to win it.
I 100% agree, DJ. And if you got a Ferrari in the garage and you never want to take that Ferrari out, you never want to take care of it, you don't allow it to shine and show off, why do you even have it in your garage? Just want to throw that out there, DJ.
Boy, I tell you preaching to somebody today, Thrift, man. I tell you. Goodness gracious, I'm glad that music came on, because I felt
it was a preaching type of day, wasn't it, D?
Woo! That's what they say. Hey, listen, you hear the music, you know what that means. That's going to do it for this edition of the Sports Visions Morning Show. On behalf of Thrift Barringer, I'm DJ Jones, reminding you to keep your eye on the ball.
You've been listening to the Sports Visions Morning Show with DJ Jones and Thrift Barringer. Brought to you by Global Diagnostic Services and the Finley Firm. This is Sports Visions 92.1.
Time is of the essence. I try to teach you, but I need some lessons.